You practice immortality. I cultivate the land. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451 Heart Monkey Fruit. Then it's settled. Little friend Lou, you cultivate the spiritual fruit for brewing monkey wine for me. When it matures, I will give you some monkey wine and other things. The old ape was more and more excited when he heard Lu Xuan's suggestion. The secret recipe is passed down in the blood of the white jade sky supporting ape clan. When it grows to a certain stage, its blood will be stimulated and it will automatically obtain the secret recipe. Therefore, it is not worried that human cultivators will know the details of the secret recipe. With such an inner sect disciple who is good at spiritual plants in front of it, it will naturally not miss this opportunity. It just so happens that I have a spiritual seed in my abdomen. I will take it out and give it to you, little friend Lou. The old ape opened his mouth, and an egg-sized spiritual seed slowly floated out of its abdomen. The spiritual fruit is the heart monkey fruit. The way it condenses is closely related to my white jade sky supporting ape clan. It must be nurtured with essence, ki and blood, before it can be cultivated normally. Lu Xuan reached out and carefully took the spiritual seed. The spirit seed was light golden in color, and inside the thin seed coat seemed to be a miniature monkey embryo, curled up into a ball. Upon closer inspection, it turned into a golden shadow. This is the first time I've seen the way this spirit seed condenses. No wonder it has such a deep connection with the white ape clan. Lu Xuan sighed secretly. Senior white ape, is there anything I need to pay attention to when cultivating this heart ape fruit spirit seed? Although he had the ability to understand the information of the spirit plant after planting, he still had to do a good job on the surface, so he asked the old ape. The heart ape fruit is a 5th grade spirit plant, and it has relatively higher requirements for the spirit soil and spiritual energy. There is nothing special about it. By the way, there is one more thing. When cultivating this heart ape fruit, the mind is easily affected by it, and it may invisibly breed emotions such as mania and restlessness. Please pay more attention to this, little friend Lou. Yes, thank you for your reminder, senior. Lu Xuan bowed and put the light golden spirit seed into the storage bag. He continued to drink tea and chat with the old ape. By the way, senior, is there a forbidden area in the blessed land? Can you tell me in detail? I want to know. He thought of the thunderstorm bear that was affected by the atmosphere around the forbidden land during pregnancy and had a difficult birth. Now he replaced Kangwu Zenran and took charge of the blessed land, so he must understand all the unstable factors in the blessed land to avoid accidents during his management. Forbidden land? There is such a place, but it has little to do with you and me. The old ape took a sip of hot tea and said slowly. As for the forbidden land, it mainly holds some unfortunate or ominous spirit beasts and demon beasts. Although the spirit beasts in the blessed land have been tamed since childhood, they are all born from demon beasts after all. The demons are difficult to tame, and it is inevitable that they will attack or even kill the monks of the Xianjian sect. Some have special bloodlines and need to be suppressed in the forbidden land to prevent them from being harmful to other spirit beasts or monks. Lu Xuan heard this and nodded gently. It is difficult for fellow disciples to live in peace. There are countless fights and even deaths, and it is even more difficult to guarantee the safety of demon beasts. There are also some demon beasts or half-alienated evil beasts captured by the sects, which are locked up in the forbidden area to provide food for some spirit beasts in the blessed land, or for the sects to use for research, drug testing, or crossbreeding to breed new demon beasts, etc. It's not as peaceful and tranquil as outside the blessed land. Most of them are fierce and bloodthirsty. Unlike me, I'm elegant and easygoing, and I value harmony. The old ape squinted his eyes and shook his head. Lu Xuan remained silent. If he hadn't known the old ape's background after feeding him, he would have believed what the old ape said, based on his words and deeds. There are so many fierce beasts and evil beasts locked up in the forbidden area, so there shouldn't be any problems with safety, right? Lu Xuan asked worriedly. He was afraid that during his time in charge of the blessed land, some fierce beasts would riot and break the ban. Don't worry about this. There are many powerful restrictions outside the forbidden area. Even if there are several 5th and 6th grade demon beasts attacking together, they can't break out. Unless there is a 7th grade demon, the restrictions will be broken in a short time before the sector acts. Old man, don't set up a flag here. Lu Xuan roared in his heart. On the surface, he was calm, then I'm relieved. The old fox in the blessed land likes to go to the forbidden area to stroll around, but nothing has happened. The demon controlling order in your hand can also easily pass the restrictions and enter the forbidden area. If you are curious, you can go and have a look. Lu Xuan shook his head quickly. The junior doesn't have this idea. Although he has some interest in the so-called hybrid demon beasts in his heart, his strength is limited. For the sake of safety, it is better not to take the initiative to approach there. He sat with the old ape for a while and returned to the cloud house. There is a kind of spiritual soil composed of white fine sand on the cloud. The spiritual energy is slightly stronger than ordinary spiritual soil, but no spiritual plants are planted. When Lu Xuan first saw it, he thought it was a waste and wanted to plant all the spiritual plants in the fine sand spiritual soil. At this moment, the fine sand spiritual soil can be said to have a place to use. He took the heart monkey fruit spiritual seed out of the storage bag. The spiritual power surged, and the earth drawing technique was performed. The structure of the spiritual soil accumulated on the surface of the cloud changed slightly, and a crack appeared silently. Lu Xuan put the light golden spiritual seed into the crack, and strands of spiritual rain fell down, nourishing the spiritual seed. The golden monkey embryo inside the spiritual seed seemed to sense something, and its body quietly stretched a little. Lu Xuan's mind was focused on the spiritual seed, and suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. The heart monkey fruit, a 5th grade spiritual plant, is a unique spiritual fruit of the white jade sky supporting ape clan. The condensation of the spiritual seed is extremely complex and needs to be nourished by essence, ki and blood. During the growth stage, it has extremely high requirements for spiritual energy and spiritual soil. After maturity, the spiritual fruit can be taken directly to cleanse the marrow and veins, temper the mind and body, and make them round and integrated. It can also be used to refine some special high-grade elixirs and brew the monkey wine unique to the white jade sky clearing ape clan. It has great appeal to ape monsters. During the growth period of the spiritual plant, if you stay nearby for a long time, it will disturb the mind of the planter, making it difficult to concentrate, which is not conducive to cultivation. Lock the heart of the ape, tie the mind of the horse. 5th grade spiritual fruit. Lu Xuan was happy. I didn't expect to come to the blessed land and accidentally get a 5th grade spiritual fruit. Looking at its information, it is still an extremely rare variety. You can look forward to the light ball reward after it matures. The corners of his mouth rose slightly. As for disturbing the mind and being detrimental to cultivation, as long as I don't practice, there is no benefit or disadvantage. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. For him, cultivation is still after farming. Anyway, his qualifications are limited, so it is better to plant more fields, open more light balls, and use the infinite unknown light ball rewards to make up for the limited qualifications. Chapter 452, Differences between monks. After learning the detailed information about the monkey heart fruit, Lu Xuan dug the spirit seeds out of the spirit soil. He did not intend to plant the spirit plants in the blessed land. Although the spiritual energy in the blessed land was rich and pure, the spirit soil was only average, far inferior to the cave with Wu spirit soil. At the same time, there was no good growth environment. If the spirit plants were transplanted after a few years of planting, it would also have an impact on the spirit plants. It has been a while since he came to the Wanyao cave blessed land. Lu Xuan planned to go out for a few days to check and cultivate his spirit plants. There were many spirit plants in the inner sect cave, the underworld courtyard in Jianmen town, and the incomplete secret realm. There were many spirit plants in the 3 spirit fields that he needed to take care of and cultivate. It was related to countless light balls, so Lu Xuan could not be careless. Fortunately, it was convenient to go out of the blessed land, and it only required some spirit stones. He found Sun Yun. Brother Sun, I have something to do and need to leave the blessed land. I will be back in 3 to 5 days. During this period, please pay more attention to the affairs in the blessed land. Brother Lu, please rest assured. I will definitely take good care of all the spirit beasts in the blessed land. Sun Yun heard this and nodded in agreement without asking in detail. On weekdays, Kangwu Zenran would occasionally leave the blessed land. The blessed land has formed a certain operating pattern, and the absence of the person in charge for a few days will not cause much impact. Then I'll trouble you, Brother Sunday. Lu Xuan thought for a while and continued. If there is a problem that the brothers can't solve, Brother Sun will go to the guardian spirit beasts, the white jade sky supporting ape and the dragon turtle in my name. I believe they will lend a helping hand. Lu Xuan said confidently. The little monkey has been eating his spirit fruit and spirit juice for more than 10 years. It is not an exaggeration to say that he has raised it. This is also the reason why the old monkey has a good impression of Lu Xuan when he saw him for the first time. In addition, there is the friendship of helping the old ape cultivate the 5th grade heart monkey fruit. If there is any problem that Sun Yun cannot solve in the blessed land, it is entirely possible to ask it for help. As for the dragon turtle, it goes without saying. The two of them have indirectly completed one of the 4 irons of life. Giving the old dragon turtle a copy of the Bliss Heart Sutra has solved its lonely problem for thousands of years. Naturally, Lu Xuan would not refuse his help. White jade sky supporting ape and dragon turtle, 2 6th grade guardian spirit beasts. Sun Yun's handsome face showed surprise. Seeing Lu Xuan nodding confirmation, he was shocked. Unexpectedly, Lu Xuan had only been in the blessed land for a while, and he had such a deep friendship with the 2 6th grade guardian spirit beasts in the blessed land that he could invite the 2 beasts to help in name. And even if he had stayed in the blessed land for decades, he was only familiar with the 2 spirit beasts. It was good enough to get a response from the spirit beasts when he met them. At this moment, he felt the disparity between cultivators. Formation Hall. In the wide hall, a huge magic array was swimming with spiritual light, and countless complex and mysterious spiritual patterns were constantly changing, making people dizzy. Suddenly, the magic array lit up, and a handsome young man with bright and clear eyes appeared in the center of the array. The young man was Lu Xuan. He stood there for a few breaths, and adjusted his consciousness, which was slightly confused due to the long distance transmission. After fully waking up, he greeted the disciples of the array hall who were guarding the magic array next to him, and then drove the sword light to his cave. Half a minute later, he arrived at the foot of the cave mountain. When Lu Xuan was about to open the flowing light talisman array, he noticed that there was a fiery red talisman floating in the air next to it. There was a subtle fire flowing around the talisman, and the pattern in the middle seemed to be related to the communication. Lu Xuan reached out to take the talisman, injected a subtle spiritual power, and his spiritual consciousness entered the talisman. A familiar voice sounded in his ears. Junior brother Lu, I'm Huo Liner. I haven't seen you for a long time, and I miss you very much. I don't know when you will come out of the blessed land, so I left a communication talisman at the entrance of your cave. The reason for leaving the communication talisman is that the inner sect will have a large-scale treasure exchange meeting in the near future. There will be several true disciples and many inner sect disciples participating. It is very likely that there will be the spiritual seeds, young spiritual beast embryos, etc. that junior brother needs, so I specially invite you to participate. Junior brother, after activating the talisman, if you are interested, just tell me before the meeting. Behind the talisman, there are also various information about the treasure exchange meeting, as well as the time and place. This senior brother Huo Liner is very thoughtful. Lu Xuan looked at the flame of the talisman in his hand, which was gradually turning slightly black and grey, and couldn't help but think in his heart. When he was still in the early stage of foundation building, he participated in a treasure exchange meeting held by Huo Liner, from which he obtained the 4th grade fantasy sound bamboo and the 5th grade underworld spiritual plant blood sin flower, which can be said to be a full harvest. Huo Liner had some impression of Lu Xuan back then. After the trip to the new blessed land, he learned about Lu Xuan's terrifying talent in spiritual plants. He wanted to make friends with him, so he left a communication talisman for Lu Xuan, fearing that he would miss this large-scale treasure exchange meeting. Look at the time, it's only 3 days later, so it's not too late. Lu Xuan was quite interested in this treasure exchange meeting. Occasionally, some rare and precious spiritual seeds will appear in such occasions, especially the underworld spiritual seeds, which are rarely known by righteous cultivators. Because of the evil reasons, after accidentally obtaining them, they just want to sell them as soon as possible, which often allows Xuan, who doesn't care about meat and vegetables, to pick up a big leak. Many spiritual plants in the underworld courtyard came from this. He currently has quite a few treasures that can be used for exchange. The evil instruments and spiritual medicines are not good enough, but other 4th grade sword talismans, mature magic bamboo, earth fire heart lotus seeds and other things can be used to exchange for spiritual seeds and other treasures. Thinking of this, Xuan took out a communication talisman, conveyed his intention to participate to Huo Liner, and said thank you. Little ones, I'm back. Xuan entered the cave and shouted. The fat bad was the first to greet him, and its soft belly landed on Xuan's head, and then bounced high. Without my restraint during this period, you and the green-haired windfall can have been living a very happy life, right? Xuan asked with a sinister smile. Just playing around. The fat bird shook its pale green wings very heroically, and its increasingly round belly rolled, conveying a thought to Xuan. After the spiritual fruit opened the way, it had a thorough understanding of the green-haired wind falcon, and it didn't have the white moonlight filter at the beginning. That's good. Xuan nodded with satisfaction, and comforted the little ones who called over, such as the cloud-stepping lynx, the poisonous heart-eating bug, and the fire-leaving dragon, and then went straight to the spiritual field. In the spiritual field, many spiritual plants grew smoothly under the nourishment of the pure and rich spiritual energy of the inner sect. When Xuan checked the status of the spiritual plants, they were generally good, but many of them, especially the sword grass, needed special cultivation. He used various sword tactics and sword formations, in turn until the spiritual energy in his dantian was almost consumed, and then he completely satisfied the many sword grasses that had been hungry for quite a long time. After cultivating the rest of the spiritual plants in the spiritual field, Xuan returned to the house with an empty dantian, feeling exhausted but satisfied. Chapter 453 Pre-Mother Seed. Jianmen Town. Xuan looked up at the Wanbao Tower plaque, and stepped into the hall. At this moment, his face was covered with a layer of light grey as thin as a cicada's wing, turning into an ordinary looking middle-aged cultivator. The face was the 4th grade magic weapon obtained from the ghost-faced stone mushroom light group, the 1000th chapter weird face, which can change the cultivator's face and aura. Daoyao, please come this way. As soon as he entered the hall, the owner of the Wanbao Tower branch in Jianmen Town, a kind and short and fat old man, sensed the surging spiritual power in Xuan's body, and took the initiative to greet him. Xuan followed the old man, and came to the 3rd floor of Wanbao Tower. I wonder if I can help you, Daoyao. After the beautiful maid brought up the spiritual fruit and tea, the short and fat old man asked Xuan with a smile. I have a lot of elixirs that I want to sell. I wonder if Wanbao Tower will accept them. Xuan said in a hoarse voice. Since the level of alchemy for Puan Pill and Yunling Pill has reached the Grandmaster level, Xuan only took out less than 30% of them in the Dan Palace in order not to attract too much attention, and decided to sell the rest secretly. Oh. Can you show me? Xuan nodded, stretched out his hand, and flicked it gently, and more than 10 bottles of pills appeared in front of the short and fat old man. The number of pills was somewhat beyond the old man's expectations. He couldn't help but be stunned, took down 2 bottles, and looked at them carefully. The 1st grade Puan Pill and the 2nd grade Yunling Pill are of very good quality. When Xuan was refining pills, he deliberately picked out the pills with good appearance, so the ones placed in front of the old man were the ones with the best quality. After the short and fat old man identified all the pills, he offered a price slightly higher than that of the Dan Palace, and Xuan naturally had no objection. In the end, the pills were sold for a total of more than 8,000 spirit stones. After the money and goods were settled, the short and fat old man personally sent Xuan out of the gate of Wanbao Tower. If you need pills of similar quality, please come to Wanbao Lao to sell or exchange them. He reluctantly said to Xuan. With such a skilled alchemist in front of him, he naturally had to curry favor with him. Okay, if there are more pills, I will give priority to Wanbao Lao, Xuan said calmly. He didn't expect that the alchemy level of the Grandmaster realm would be so profitable. 2 kinds of pills, minus the cost of spiritual medicine, brought him a total of several thousand spiritual stones. Enough to buy a few 4th grade spiritual seeds. It's a pity that the quality of the pills is still a bit low. It takes a lot of time to refine low grade pills, which will delay farming. If there are enough high grade pill experience packs, then I can completely achieve spiritual stone freedom, and even upgrade alchemy to cultivation. He sighed secretly. The profit margin of pills is huge, but unfortunately he only has a high level into low grade pill recipes, and the alchemy level comes entirely from the light group rewards, so farming is still the top priority. He found a remote corner, and the strange face on his face changed slightly under the guidance of spiritual power, and instantly became a simple looking young man. He came to the new underworld courtyard. Xuan walked around the 4th grade 1000 illusion clouds and smoke array, took away the array plate and flag, and then took out the illusion 5 element array flag array plate, and arranged it around the courtyard. The faint 5 element spiritual power flowed, and countless 5 element spirit beasts flashed by, and disappeared into the formation. The 4th grade formation has been updated and iterated to the 5th grade formation. The formation's protection and lethality have been qualitatively improved. With the void nightmare eyes that come at any time, the safety of many underworld spirit plants in the courtyard has been greatly improved. Xuan passed through the large formation and entered the courtyard. A gust of cold wind blew in his face, and the breath on his body instantly became cold. He felt a strange feeling coming from his feet. He looked down and saw a huge blood red palm that had drilled out of the spiritual soil was wrapping around his calf, absorbing it madly, causing the blood in his body to surge. Perhaps because it had been hungry for a long time, the huge palm of the blood spirit palm ginseng looked a little shriveled. Poor kid, you've lost all your appearance. Xuan quickly took out 3 bottles of dragon blood essence from the storage bag and poured them all on the blood red palm that was growing bigger and bigger. The finger-like branches of the blood palm were instantly full of vitality, constantly twisting and changing, greedily absorbing the dragon blood essence. Xuan came to another big bloodsucker, the blood evil flower. The blood evil flower sensed the bloody smell in the courtyard, and the countless entangled thin blood vessels on the hollow blood ball slowly squirmed, and the speed was getting faster and faster, as if they would shoot out at any time, covering the entire courtyard. Xuan took out 5 bottles of dragon blood essence and sprinkled them on the thin blood vessels. The spiritual consciousness passed through the layers of blood vessels and could see that there was an endless sea of blood inside the blood ball. In the sea of blood, a blood-colored flower stood proudly, blooming and withering in an instant. With the sea of blood as its base, it seemed that it would break through the siege of countless blood vessels at any time and show its enchantment to the world. The 5th grade blood evil flower has entered its maturity period. It seems that I have to go to Kyan Long Lake and check the dragon cubs. I don't know if there is a chance to check the old dragon turtle. Xuan felt that his mentality was a little inflated. He took a deep breath and adjusted himself, throwing away this unrealistic idea in his mind. He took out the monster meat he had searched from various stalls and shops from his storage bag and buried it around the roots of the longevity peaches. The peach tree has already produced small peach spirit fruits, which are full of milk fragrance, like a new life that has just been conceived, full of attractive fragrance. The filthy insect grass can no longer be seen in its specific form, forming a collection of filthy things, growing like a fish in water in the underworld courtyard. The 18 mutant thousand-horned hands have also taken root and sprouted, like 18 slender arms intertwined and entangled, without the terrifying appearance seen in the secret realm at the beginning. When sucking blood and flesh, the 18 arms seem to be in sync, evenly dividing the blood and flesh, and devouring them to their heart's content. After feeding the 1000 QIU hand, he came to the mother plant of the holy infant fruit buried in the dark mud. Because the mature subplants were not fed to the mother plant in time, due to instinctive needs, the 2 gray-black tumors on the dry gray-black body of the holy infant fruit mother plant shrank and expanded, and 2 tiny gray-black baby embryos could be seen inside. Not bad. 2 new holy infant fruit plant spirit seeds were born. Xuan couldn't help but applaud his previous decision. As long as the holy infant fruit mother plant is not satisfied, it will continue to produce new subplant spirit seeds, so that it can be harvested after the subplant matures. Unexpectedly, it was harvested mercilessly by Lu Xuan in turn. The mature holy infant fruit plant has been left in the gluttonous insect sac, and the mother plant is not satisfied, and then gave birth to 2 new subplant spirit seeds. Lu Xuan carefully cut off the 2 tumors, and in an instant, it seemed that 2 black and grey shadows flashed by with a scream. The embryo-shaped spirit seeds in the tumor slowly appeared. Lu Xuan looked around the courtyard. The spiritual field was limited in area, so he planted it directly near the mother plant of the holy infant fruit. It's a bit cruel to do this. The mother plant quietly waits for the child plant to grow, but after it matures, it can do nothing but watch the child plant being harvested by others. The plot is a bit familiar. Chapter 454, Sword Hall True Teachings. After planting 2 new holy infant fruit spirit seeds, Lu Xuan came to the corner of the courtyard. There was an ordinary dark red stone in the corner. No one could imagine that this ordinary stone actually bred a disaster level evil spirit with the potential of the nascent soul, the flesh spirit god. He took out a large pile of flesh and blood from the storage bag and covered the dark red stone. The terrifying aura in the stone flashed, and all the flesh and blood condensed around it instantly merged into the stone, as if it had never appeared. This flesh spirit god's demand for flesh and blood is really terrible. It's still in the incubation stage, and it has absorbed so much flesh and blood. Lu Xuan looked at the dark red stone in front of him, feeling a little worried. In the underworld courtyard, the Yishao Panteo and Kaian Qiuhan both have a great demand for the flesh and blood of monsters. Now with this evil spirit flesh spirit god in the incubation stage, it is difficult to feed these 3 spiritual plants at the same time by normal means. I must find a way to open up the source, he thought secretly in his heart. After taking good care of all the spiritual plants in the underworld courtyard, Lu Xuan returned to his original appearance and returned to the Xianjian sect. There were still 2 days before the treasure exchange meeting mentioned by Huo Liner. He came to the spiritual field and performed the earth escape technique to the place where the 2 two-headed armadillos were. He swept away all the wuling soil that they had collected bit by bit over the years. Then, he brought the wuling soil and the heart monkey fruit to the incomplete secret realm. The spiritual power of the secret realm is pure, which is more suitable for the growth of spiritual plants than the 10,000 monsters cave. With the addition of wuling soil and Yaoquan Linglin, it is more conducive to the growth of the 5th grade heart monkey fruit planted in the secret realm. Lu Xuan checked the many spiritual plants in the secret realm. Although the fiery flame fruit and the ice divine fruit were not cultivated all the time, their growth progress was not bad, and they had entered the mature stage. The sword raising good was nourished by the sword energy of the second-hand flying sword, and its growth progress was only slightly slower than that of the fiery flame fruit, and it also entered the mature stage. Lu Xuan seemed to see a large number of 4th grade sword symbols being nurtured in the goods with green and mottled colors and surging sword energy. He came back from the incomplete secret realm and stayed in the sect's cave, cultivating many spiritual plants while waiting for the time of the treasure exchange meeting. 2 days later, he arrived at the place left by Huo Liner on time. Junior brother Lu, welcome, welcome. Let me introduce you. This is senior brother Bei Fiu, the true disciple of the sect, with superb sword skills and countless evil spirits under his sword. This treasure exchange meeting is mainly organized by him and me. Huo Liner, wearing a fiery red robe, smiled eagerly when he saw Lu Xuan and introduced him to a young monk next to him. The monk had a handsome face and a noble temperament, like a banished immortal. He had a pure white scabbard hanging around his waist. The hilt of the flying sword inside the scabbard seemed to be a piece of dragon skeleton. The moment he sensed the flying sword of the dragon, Lu Xuan felt a throbbing sensation in the simple scabbard on his waist, as if he had seen the sword of love in his dream. You scum, it's not enough to have so many flying swords. You're still thinking about other flying swords, when your body is full of flying swords. Lu Xuan cursed in his heart, and sent a thought to the Yangtze sword sheath. Hello, senior brother Bei. He greeted the young sword cultivator. Junior brother Lu, I have heard of you more than once, since I returned to the sect. A smile appeared on the corner of the young man's mouth. You and I are both disciples of the Sword Hall, but I have been staying outside the sect for some years. I returned to the hall some time ago and learned that junior brother Lu has figured out a method to condense the seeds of the 3rd grade sword grass on your own. I really admire you. So it's senior brother Bei from the Sword Hall. Lu Xuan smiled warmly, secretly feeling that the Sword Hall is worthy of being the most powerful hall in the sect. Among the few true disciples he has met, Jian Wuxia and Bei Fiao in front of him are both disciples of the Sword Hall. Junior brother Lu, please come in. I hope you can find the treasure you want. Bei Fiao and the others led Lu Xuan into a luxurious hall. The floor of the hall was covered with the fur of a 3rd grade demon tiger. Nearly 100 white jade chairs were placed in an orderly manner. Dozens of night shining pearls full of spiritual energy and precious light were suspended on the ceiling of the hall. More than a dozen beautiful female cultivators were constantly walking around with spiritual fruits and tea in their hands. Lu Xuan looked around and deliberately chose a remote corner. As soon as he sat down, he saw Zhang Jingshan, who was also hiding in the corner. The two of them bowed and greeted each other, and then each sank into their own world. Although he wanted to stay quietly in the corner, things did not go as he wished. With his reputation in the spiritual plant and his achievements in the Sword Hall, there were constantly cultivators coming to greet and communicate. The visitors were all acquaintances, including the small circle of spiritual plant masters led by Liu Su, disciples of the Sword Hall, and fellow disciples who had met when opening up a new blessed land before. Even strangers nearby saw this scene and took the initiative to come to meet Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan dealt with it on the surface, and when he saw that there were more cultivators surrounding the taciturn Zhang Jingshan not far away, his heart suddenly became much more balanced. He secretly observed the inner sect monks who entered the hall one after another. Among the monks present, there were 5 true disciples: Jian Wuxia with the innate sword body, Zhang Jingshan who was good at controlling insects, Huo Liner with the fire spirit body, Bei Fiao, the true disciple of the Sword Hall who had just met him not long ago, and a stranger. Among the remaining people, there were more than 10 people in the late stage of foundation building and the perfect state, and dozens of people in the early and middle stages of foundation building. It can be said to be a huge scale. Soon, a red light flashed by, and Huo Liner appeared in front of the hall. Fellow disciples, welcome to the Treasure Exchange Conference held by Senior Brother Bei Fiao and I. This Treasure Exchange Conference aims to provide a platform for all fellow disciples to exchange treasures, cultivation experiences, and get to know fellow disciples, etc. The Treasure Exchange Conference is divided into 2 parts. The first stage is a targeted exchange. Fellow disciples can come forward to show their treasures and put forward exchange requirements. Within a certain period of time, everyone below can choose whether to exchange. The second stage is a free exchange. You can unite multiple fellow disciples to get what you need and exchange for your favorite treasures. There is only one rule for this treasure exchange conference, which is not to use power to pressure others or force buying and selling. If anyone does not care about the friendship of fellow disciples and violates this rule, don't blame me and Senior Brother Bei for being rude. Huo Liner's young face was solemn, and fire lotuses emerged from his robe. Okay, let's start the treasure exchange. He left a sentence and jumped off the stage. After a few breaths, a figure quickly swept onto the stage. A middle-aged cultivator with a late foundation building cultivation base bowed to Lu Xuan and others below the stage. My fellow brothers and sisters, junior brothers and sisters, today I will start the treasure exchange by throwing out a brick and jade. As soon as he finished speaking, a flying sword of a strange style appeared in front of him. The flying sword was about 3 feet long, with a crystal clear and slender blade, shaped like a vertebra. The coldness was pervasive, causing a thin layer of white gas to appear around the sword. The 4th grade flying sword, the cold bone sword, is forged from the bones of the 4th grade monster beast, the cold mysterious dragon. Each move can induce an extremely cold aura, and it is extremely powerful. You can exchange it for a defensive magic weapon of the same grade, or a pill of the same grade, that can improve your cultivation. Chapter 455 7 Emotion Beans. The 4th grade cold bone sword in the hands of the middle-aged cultivator aroused the interest of many cultivators in the audience. The Xuan sect is famous for its swords in the cultivation world, and there are countless sword-type magic weapons, but the 4th grade flying sword is not common. The 4th grade sword grass cultivated in the sword hole will only be provided to a small number of sect cultivators. In addition, the quality of this cold bone sword is quite good, which caused several people in the audience to scramble for it. In the end, it was exchanged for a 4th grade defensive magic weapon by a female cultivator in the late stage of foundation building. The 4th grade flying sword made a good start, and the subsequent treasure exchange was in full swing and the scene was lively. Xuan sat in the corner, quietly watching the treasures on the stage passing by like a horse-drawn lantern, which made people dazzled. Although there were many treasures, few of them aroused his interest. He came here mainly to obtain spirit seeds, spirit plant seedlings, monster cubs, and fetal eggs. After all, these all represent light balls with rich rewards. Of course, the method of seed condensation is also on the list, but he does not expect such a precious method of seed condensation to appear in such an occasion. It is better to go directly to the sword hall or synod hall to exchange it. In addition, various rare spiritual soils with different effects, high-grade monster corpses that can be used for all materials, and 4th-grade and above strange fires that can cultivate phoenix trees, and Buddhist instruments suitable for Vajrabodhi are all on his list of needs. He is not very interested in other treasures. The rewards from the light bowl and various treasures have already satisfied him. While he was thinking, the instrument in the hands of a burly monk on the stage caught his attention. The instrument seemed to be forged from bronze, with a sharp blade on one end, cold and sharp, and on the other end there were Buddha statues on all 4 sides, some peaceful and peaceful, some violent and angry. This item is called the demon subduing peg. It is a Buddhist magic weapon I got by chance. It is of the 4th grade. It contains pure and powerful Buddhist power, which has a strong killing effect on demons and evil spirits. I want to use it to exchange for offensive magic weapons or talismans. The burly monk said in a deep voice. Buddhist magic weapons are rare. I don't know what they are specifically used for. Some monks in the audience whispered. When Xuan saw this demon subduing peg, his eyes lit up. This 4th grade Buddhist magic weapon can be said to be tailor-made for his Vajrabodhi. It has been 2 or 3 years since he got the 5th grade Vajrabodhi spirit seed, but because the cultivation conditions are extremely special, it requires various Buddhist powers to warm and nourish it. He uses the soul guiding Zen incense and the thunder sound sword to barely maintain the vitality of the spirit seed. If he has this 4th grade pure Buddhist magic weapon, it can meet the growth needs of the Vajrabodhi in the early and middle stages. Brother, I have a 4th grade sword talisman in my hand. When it is fully activated, it can emit endless great sun sword energy, which can easily seriously injure, or even kill a cultivator in the middle or late stage of foundation building. The great sun sword energy in the sword talisman can also be used multiple times. Xuan sent a voice message to the burly cultivator, holding a red talisman in his hand. The center of the talisman was like a blazing sun in the sky, and countless fine sword energy seemed to be emitting dense light. 4th grade sword talisman? Hearing this, the burly cultivator's spiritual consciousness swept over the great sun sword talisman in Xuan's hand, and his eyes lit up. He hesitated for a moment, and sent a voice message to Xuan. Brother, I have a complete 4th grade magic weapon in my hand, and your sword talisman can only be used a limited number of times. The two are not equal in value, right? That's true, but you have to know that the 4th grade Buddhist magic weapon in your hand cannot be fully used in the Xuan sect due to its spiritual power, so its value is greatly reduced. In addition, brother needs an offensive treasure, and the lethality of the sword talisman is firmly in the forefront among treasures of the same grade. There are very few magic weapons and talismans that are stronger than it. In addition, my sword talisman stores infinite sword energy and can be activated many times. The value of the two is not much different. Xuan said calmly without revealing his true purpose. The burly monk was silent for a moment. What Xuan said was very reasonable. In addition, the temptation of the 4th grade sword talisman was too strong. He nodded in agreement without hesitation. After stepping down, the two met and exchanged their favorite things. Xuan was satisfied. He still had more than 10 4th grade sword talismans in his hand. The newly planted sword raising good had entered the maturity period. By then, the number of sword talismans would increase sharply. He could exchange a sword talisman that was easily available for a 4th grade Buddhist instrument, which was a small profit. Whether he could use this 4th grade demon suppressing dagger normally was not a big problem for him. It would be quite good to use it to cultivate the 5th grade Vajra body. He continued to sit in the audience, quietly watching the monks on the stage take out various treasures. During this period, spiritual seeds also appeared, but no matter how low the grade of the spiritual plants was, they were all common varieties that could be exchanged from the Synod Hall, so Lu Xuan did not come forward to exchange them. After a while, a female cultivator with a gentle temperament and a graceful figure slowly walked onto the stage. My fellow disciples, I have a rare spiritual seed in my hand, called the 7 Emotions Bean. When it matures, it can be used to assist certain heartless and destructive practices. It can quickly enable cultivators to enter a state of cultivation without being disturbed by external objects. I want to use this spiritual seed to exchange for a pill, treasure, or spiritual medicine that can purify turbid and polluted spiritual energy and reduce the risk of alienation. After the gentle female cultivator finished speaking, the audience responded mediocrely. Among the Xianjian sect cultivators present, the vast majority of cultivators spent their time practicing and seeking opportunities. Even if they learned a cultivation skill, it was basically in the category of alchemy, refining, and making talismans. They might try to cultivate the spiritual seeds they got, but they didn't specialize in spiritual plants, so they were even less interested in this type of rare spiritual plant variety. What's more, what the female cultivator wanted to exchange for was a treasure that could reduce alienation. It was too late to keep this kind of treasure in her hands, so how could she bear to exchange it for a rare and wonderful spiritual seed? The gentle female cultivator looked around and saw that no one had made an offer. She sighed softly in her heart. Just as she was about to step down, a gentle voice sounded in her ears. Sister, I have a lotus seed of the earth fire heart lotus in my hand. After taking it, it can purify the dirty breath, make the spiritual power in the body pure and flawless, and greatly reduce the risk of being invaded by evil spirits. I wonder if you are willing to exchange it? The owner of the voice was naturally Lu Xuan, who was sitting in the corner. When he heard that the female cultivator had a 4th grade 7 Emotions Bean spiritual seed in her hand, he was immediately anxious and wanted to take the spiritual seed into his hands. I feel that I currently have a collection habit for spiritual seeds. As long as I see rare and precious spiritual seeds, I want to collect them. The higher the grade and the rarer the variety, the stronger this idea is. Even if there are enough spiritual plants in the spiritual field, I still can't suppress this idea in my heart. Lu Xuan sighed in his heart. Lotus seed of the earth fire heart lotus? The female cultivator was stunned, and her eyes brightened immediately. If she could exchange for such a treasure, it would be far beyond her expectations. With it, I can try to explore that secret place full of evil spirits. She smiled and sent a voice message to Lu Xuan. I'm willing. Chapter 456, The Crying Tree. The two came to a secluded corner of the hall. Lu Xuan took out a light red lotus seed from his storage bag. The lotus seed gushed out a light red spiritual power, quietly burning away the surrounding turbid aura. It is indeed the lotus seed of the earth fire heart lotus. When one, a female cultivator, said with surprise. She held a 7-color spiritual seed in her hand. The spiritual seed was the size of the tip of a thumb, and it was shining brightly. It had an inexplicable attraction to Lu Xuan's mind. Junior brother, this is the 7 Emotion Bean spiritual seed. Lu Xuan took the 7-color spiritual seed, and after the female cultivator left, he put it in front of him, and looked at it carefully. 7 emotion beans. This is the first time I've heard of this kind of spiritual seed. He sighed in his heart. He had read all the classics in the Sutra library before, but he had never seen any records about the 7 emotion beans, which shows how rare the spiritual plant is. The grade is 4th grade, and the quality is special and rare, so it will definitely give out rich light balls as rewards. He was filled with surprise. Just as he was about to put the 7 emotion bean spiritual seed into the storage bag, the surprise disappeared in an instant, and his heart was calm. Lu Xuan frowned slightly, looking at the spirit seed in his hand, and a feeling of anger grew in his heart. As soon as the thought came up, the anger also disappeared instantly. The ability of the 7 emotion bean is really strange. It seems that it can absorb the emotions around it and use it for itself. He thought to himself and put the spirit seed away. Seeing that there were fewer and fewer fellow disciples who had not yet come on stage, Xuan seized the opportunity and jumped onto the stage. A 4th grade magic sound bamboo, a 4th grade sword talisman, and a 4th grade earth fire heart lotus seed. I will exchange it with all fellow disciples for air spirit seeds of 4th grade and above, or uncontracted young spirit beasts, fetuses, etc. In front of him, the magic sound bamboo, the roaring sea sword talisman, and the earth fire heart lotus seeds floated up and down. With the mirage sound pearl that opened in the light ball, the magic sound bamboo seemed a little useless, and he still had a lot of sword talismans and earth fire heart lotus seeds in his hands. If he could exchange them for a desired spirit seed, he would not feel sorry to use some of them. The people in the audience had different opinions on this. The moment he saw these 3 things, his mind was attracted to them. The magic sound bamboo can be used to refine strange sound wave magic tools and sword talismans, and its attack is one of the best among the same grade treasures. The earth fire heart lotus seed can resist the invasion of evil spirits and purify the dirty breath in the body. The 3 treasures are of great value to everyone present, and everyone wants to have them for themselves. Even several true disciples are tempted. Junior brother Lu, how about I use a 4th grade flying sword to exchange for your earth fire heart lotus seed? An old man who has completed the foundation building sent a voice message to Xuan. Sorry senior brother, I only need spirit seeds and young beasts. Xuan politely refused. Are you kidding? He already has the wind and thunder sword, the thunder sound sword, the nebula sword formation, the mysterious emerald small sword, and various 4th grade sword grasses that are being cultivated. How could he be so precious about a 4th grade flying sword? Brother, I have a few 3rd grade spiritual seeds in my hand. How about exchanging them for the 4th grade sword talisman in your hand? Xuan's spiritual sense swept over and found that the 3rd grade spiritual seeds in the fellow disciples' hand were all ordinary varieties, which could be exchanged in the Synod Hall. He immediately lost interest. The light group reward has begun to be affected by the cultivation of ordinary 3rd grade spiritual plants in the middle stage of foundation building. Unless he can get the fixed treasures that Xuan needs, he is not very interested in planting. There are many cultivators who come to exchange for the 3 treasures in Xuan's hand, but no one can provide what he needs. Most of them want to exchange magic tools, elixirs, or exercises with Xuan. The few cultivators who have spiritual seeds on their bodies have unsatisfactory spiritual seeds. Xuan waited for a while, and seeing that the things he needed did not appear, he had to step down silently and wait for the next free exchange stage. After all, the Xianjian sect cultivators came on stage to show their treasures. The free exchange stage soon began. Those who could not successfully exchange for the treasures they wanted directly pulled in a 3rd party or even a 4th party to exchange what they had and strive to get a relatively satisfactory result. Just as Xuan was about to ask about a 4th grade demon beast corpse that he had taken a fancy to, a voice as thin as a mosquito's whistle came to his ears. Junior brother Lu, I'm Beifiu. I have a spiritual seed in my hand. The grade is most likely 5th grade, and the specific species is unknown. I got it from an evil cultivator some time ago. The spiritual seed looks rather evil, so I didn't take it out in front of everyone just now, and exchanged it with my junior brother for treasures. I wonder if my junior brother can accept it? 5th grade unknown evil spiritual seed. That's what I want. Xuan shouted in his heart. 5th grade spiritual seeds are hard to come by, so how could he miss it, just because the spiritual seed is evil? Thinking of this in his heart, his expression showed a complex expression, half worried and half curious. Evil spiritual seeds. Junior brother, I rarely come into contact with that kind of spiritual plants, and I don't know how to cultivate them, but I'm very curious in my heart. I can't think of rejecting high-grade spiritual plants. Brother Bei, I'm willing to exchange for spiritual seeds and try to cultivate them. He sent a voice message to Beifiu, who was looking over from a distance. I really admire your love for spiritual plants. No wonder you can figure out the method of condensing the seeds of the 3rd grade sword grass at this age. Beifiu was surprised by Lu Xuan's fanatical pursuit of spiritual plants. Even if he didn't know the varieties of spiritual plants and the methods of cultivation, he was willing to spend a huge price to try it. The two came to a remote corner. Beifiu casually laid a powerful ban. There were only him and Lu Xuan and the ban. The outside world could not see or sense the scene inside the ban. This is the evil spiritual seed. He took out a pale spiritual seed. The patterns on the surface of the spiritual seed were like the faces of resentful souls, which kept blooming and caused gusts of cold wind around. There was a grey-black tree phantom inside. The tree was completely condensed by countless resentful souls. It was crowded together, making people feel extremely uncomfortable. Lu Xuan slightly sensed the vitality of the spiritual seed and confirmed that what Beifiu said was true. This spiritual seed was basically a 5th grade spiritual plant. Under normal circumstances, the 3 4th grade treasures in his hand could not be exchanged for the 5th grade spiritual seeds, but because the species of the spiritual seeds were unknown, the 3 treasures had both characteristics and practicality, so Beifiu readily exchanged the 3 treasures of Xuan and Hu. After the treasure exchange meeting was over, Lu Xuan returned to the cave with satisfaction. Found a blank spiritual field, performed the earth-inducing technique, and a tiny crack appeared in the spiritual soil, and planted the pale spiritual seeds in it. He took a deep breath, and focused his mind on the spiritual seeds. Yinku wood, a 5th grade spiritual plant, is formed by the condensation of countless ghosts and resentments. During its growth, it feeds on resentful souls. If you stay near the spiritual plant for a long time, you will be attacked by the yin wind and affect your physical condition. The mature Yinku wood can be used to refine special magic tools such as the 10,000 soul banner, and is also the main material for refining the 5th grade soul pill. Listen, the sound of resentful souls crying. It is indeed a 5th grade spiritual plant. Another evil species, the underworld courtyard, has added a big general. Lu Xuan exclaimed. Chapter 457, A Good Monk with a Righteous Heart. Feeding on resentful souls, its habits are somewhat similar to the ghost-faced stone mushrooms that I planted before. Lu Xuan sighed, feeling a little worried. It was because he didn't have enough resentful souls. He currently had 2 treasures containing resentful souls. One was a 4th grade soul guiding lamp. He had stored many resentful ghosts in the secret realm before, including cultivators in the middle and late stages of foundation building. The quality was more important than the quantity. The other was the wooden infant that he had obtained a long time ago. With a thought, the blue-black baby floated out of the gluttonous insect sack. Poor baby, it was almost sucked dry by the holy infant fruit plant. Lu Xuan sighed as he looked at the blue-black baby with grey eyes and a resentful look. Seeing the baby's unruly appearance, the wind and thunder sword in his hand rang with a clanging sound, revealing half of the sword blade, with arcs jumping around the blade. But do you want to experience the sensation of being electrocuted? The infant had been electrocuted countless times by the purple lightning sword and the wind and thunder sword. The moment he saw the blade, his resentful expression immediately turned into fear. Lu Xuan looked at the wooden infant's belly. The belly, which was originally round and full of infant souls, was much shriveled than before, and the speed of spewing out souls slowed down a lot. After satisfying the needs of the holy infant fruit plant, it can be clearly seen that the wooden infant is running out of steam. Now there are 2 holy infant fruit plants, plus the newly acquired Yinku wood. The number of yin souls required has increased dramatically. It is impossible to save money, and we cannot delay the harvest of the light ball, so we can only find a way to increase the source of income. He collected the Yinku wood spirit seeds and planned to plant them in the underworld courtyard next time. Speaking of which, there are more and more evil spiritual plants in the underworld courtyard. Only the 5th grade ones include the strange longevity peach, the holy infant fruit, the blood evil flower, and this Yinku wood. In addition, there are also the blood spirit palm ginseng, the filthy insect grass, and the 1,000-horned hand, and the disaster level evil spirit flesh spirit god that is in the making. But this can't change my identity as a righteous cultivator. Although I love to plant evil spiritual plants and raise mysterious evil spirits, I'm still a good cultivator with a heart towards the righteous path. Lu Xuan laughed. The underworld courtyard has been fully developed. If a monster corpse is put in, the essence, blood, monster meat, bones, and soul will be devoured without leaving any residue. The key is to have a clean plate. While sighing, he took out another 7-colored spiritual seed, planted it in the spiritual soil. His mind was focused, and a thought emerged in his mind. 7 emotion beans, a 4th grade spiritual plant, need to devour 7 emotions: joy, anger, worry, thought, confusion, fear, and shock during the growth stage. After maturity, they can be used to assist in the practice of the technique of eliminating emotions and sexual desire. After swallowing directly, the cultivator can abandon the desires in his heart, be focused, and not be disturbed by external objects. After the grower cultivates the 7 emotion beans for a long time, and provides it with various emotions, it will lead to the severance of his own desires. The sentimental are always annoyed by the ruthless, a spiritual plant that can devour emotions. No wonder I heard about the 7 emotion beans for the first time. Xuan sighed in his heart. I wonder what effect it will have if it is mixed with the immortal peach. One provokes the deepest desires in the hearts of the cultivators, and the other devours desires, making people sever emotions and sexual desires. It's a duel between spear and shield. A strange idea flashed through his mind, but in the end he planted it honestly in the spiritual field and isolated it. Another 4th grade magic weapon, the demon subduing peg. When Xuan's spiritual consciousness probed into it, he could sense that it contained a strong Buddhist vow, which was exactly what the 5th grade Vajra body needed. He had just been to the incomplete secret realm not long ago, and he planned to come out of the 10,000 monsters cave again in a while, harvest the light balls, and go to the underworld courtyard in the incomplete secret realm again. At present, the immortal peach has entered the mature stage, and it is unknown whether the light balls of the second batch of spiritual fruits will be affected. The 3 spiritual plants of jade dew fruit, earth fire heart lotus, and black insect vine have also entered the mature stage, and it is estimated that they will mature one after another in the near future. Although the fiery fruit and ice wisteria fruit in the incomplete secret realm have not been planted for a long time, they are nourished by the pure spiritual energy inside, and because the grade is only the 2nd grade, they have also produced flame spiritual fruits and azure ice cold spiritual fruits. Before leaving for the 10,000 monsters cave blessed land, he carefully inspected the spiritual field. Many branches shaped like small arrows have grown on the 4 arrow vines, swaying gently in the wind, and it is not yet clear that thousands of arrows are being fired at once. Xuan performed the instant arrow technique, condensing a stream of arrow spirit power and sinking it into the many small arrows on the vines. After learning the instant arrow technique for a period of time, he persisted in practicing and was finally able to perform this technique normally. Sword grass area. The 4th grade sword thousand owls, sword peacocks, and blue lotus sword grass are all growing well. The first planted sword thousand owls have gradually become the power of the 4th grade sword grass. Many special sword ki in the form of owls shuttled through at high speed and whizzed past. On the sword peacock plant, dozens or hundreds of sword ki are like peacock feathers, freely contracting and stretching, and the sword ki is flamboyant, with infinite murderous intent hidden in the splendor. After Xuan performed the thousand owl sword dart and peacock sword formation, he came to the blue lotus sword grass. His mastery of the blue lotus sword sutra is still at the entry stage, and he must be cautious when cultivating the blue lotus sword grass. After carefully inspecting all the spiritual plants in the spiritual fields of the cave, and leaving enough spiritual fruits and monster meat for Feng Falcon, treading cloud lynx and others, Xuan entered the 10,000 monsters cave again. A familiar heavy feeling came from his feet. Xuan landed on the thick cloud, and not far away were the cloud houses that merged with the cloud. Brother Lu, you are back. Sun Yun and others in the cloud house sensed the movement outside, and walked out one after another. After seeing Xuan, they smiled brightly at the same time. Yes, I'm back. Xuan nodded to everyone. Thank you all for taking care of the blessed land spirit beasts these days. Is everything going well during this period? Everything is normal, and there are no problems with the spirit beasts. Sun Yun, who has the highest cultivation, replied. That's good. Xuan chatted with several people about the recent situation of the 10,000 monsters cave. After entering the cloud house to rest for a while, he came to the edge of the lake where the old dragon turtle was. I was wondering why the hexagrams today indicate a good omen. It turns out that you are back. Why, you finally remembered me, old turtle. The old dragon turtle's shell with spiritual patterns on its back was exposed to the sun on a flat boulder, and it lay leisurely with its belly facing up. Above its head, the heart sutra of bliss was open. Of course I miss you, old man. As soon as I entered the blessed land, I rushed over to see you. Lu Xuan knew that this old dragon turtle, who had lived for thousands of years, was extremely lonely in his heart, so he quickly comforted him. He didn't dare to look directly at the light yellow jade silk, for fear of embarrassing himself in front of the old dragon turtle, and answered with his head down. You still have some conscience. Next time I go out, I'll see if I can find similar magic tools for you, and you can watch them at the same time and switch them automatically. Wow, there is such a good thing. The old dragon turtle suddenly became energetic. When he thought that the heart sutra of bliss was everywhere, there would be different beautiful scenes wherever he looked. It was really a blessing for the turtle. Chapter 458, Forbidden Land Beast. Old turtle, can you tell me more about the forbidden area? Lu Xuan asked curiously, after painting a big pie for the old dragon turtle. Why, do you want to go in and take a look? The old dragon turtle has trained his face to be as thick as a city wall for thousands of years. He didn't care that Lu Xuan was standing beside him, and he was still staring at the heart sutra of bliss with interest. I do have this idea. I mainly want to see what kind of beasts are there. Lu Xuan did not hide his inner thoughts. He was quite curious about the monsters and evil beasts in the forbidden area, to see if he could get some high-grade monster flesh and blood from them. After all, as the number and grade of evil spirit plants increased, the requirements for the quantity and quality of monster flesh and blood in the underworld courtyard also increased a lot. Ordinary monsters could no longer meet the requirements, so Lu Xuan had to think of another way. The old dragon turtle reluctantly moved his eyes away from the light yellow jade silk and glanced at Lu Xuan. It's not a normal place. If you stay there for a long time, your mind will be affected. But it's okay to go and take a look occasionally. It just so happens that I have the authority to enter the forbidden area. If you want, I can take you to have a look. Then I'll trouble you, senior. Lu Xuan said with a smile. He didn't dare to explore the secret realm alone, but if he was accompanied by the 6th grade dragon turtle, he would be full of confidence. In fact, if you want to go, you can enter the forbidden area freely with the palm demon order in your hand. Including me, several 5th and 6th grade spirit beasts in the blessed land have the qualifications to enter. In a sense, we stay in the blessed land to take care of the forbidden land. It's just that I, the old ape, and the Luan bird couple don't like the environment in the forbidden land. On the contrary, the old fox basically stays in the forbidden land, and I don't know what he is doing. The old dragon turtle said slowly, and the hexagram tortoise shell beside him, that was basking in the sun, returned to its back and fit together perfectly. The spiritual patterns on the tortoise shell swam, revealing hexagrams one by one. No problem, let's go. As soon as the old dragon turtle finished speaking, a stream of water attributed spiritual power cleverly wrapped Lu Xuan, turning into a huge water ball, and instantly appeared at the edge of a dark pit. Inside is the forbidden area of the 10,000 demon cave. The old dragon turtle stretched out its head, looked at the bottomless pit below, and introduced it to Lu Xuan. Sensing the invasion of foreign objects, all the restrictions covering the forbidden area were activated, and the surging spiritual power swept towards Lu Xuan and his friends. The old dragon turtle calmly spit out a demon pill filled with cold air, and the demon pill formed a misty spiritual shield, just right to cover it and Lu Xuan. The spiritual power attacked, sensing the breath of the demon pill, and automatically separated. The two slowly fell into the pit. After passing through layers of restrictions, Lu Xuan finally saw the bottom of the pit clearly. The middle part of the pit was empty, and the surface was divided into several layers. Each layer had densely packed stone caves. From time to time, various beast roars came from the stone caves. The sounds were either violent or painful. The whole pit was filled with a strong bloody smell, mixed with a strong evil spirit, which made Lu Xuan, who entered the forbidden area for the first time, a little uncomfortable. You kid. It seems that you don't see much blood in normal times, but you react to such a little evil spirit. Seeing Lu Xuan like this, the old dragon turtle had a bit of mockery in his tone. I can't help it. Who made me a spiritual plant master? I was chosen by Uncle Kangwoo to manage the blessed land. I don't have to run around like other fellow disciples, fighting with monsters and evil cultivators. Lu Xuan replied calmly. I said you were fat, but you are still panting. The old dragon turtle changed the subject. There are obvious differences between the layers of the forbidden land. The deeper you go, the more dangerous it is. The topmost stone cave area mainly contains ordinary monsters. There are a large number of them. They are usually captured by the monks of the sect and used to feed some spiritual beasts in the blessed land, and even some fierce beasts and evil beasts in the forbidden land. They are also often used for crossbreeding and screening bloodlines to obtain new species of monsters. Lu Xuan nodded when he heard this, thinking of the lion beasts he had tamed before. He looked around the stone cave and vaguely saw the figures of various monsters, mainly first and second grade monsters, and there were also many third and fourth grade monsters. With so many monsters, they are completely consumables. I don't know if I can get some useless parts. The spiritual plants in my yard are not picky eaters. He thought secretly in his heart. In the middle area, there are some beasts that have attacked our sect's monks or violated the sect's rules. These beasts are powerful, and their minds are easily occupied by animal nature. They are all fierce and aggressive. When they are locked up, they need to use additional magic tools to prevent them from breaking free and causing harm. Keeping them here is also a kind of transformation for them. When we find that their animal nature has been greatly reduced and there is still room for transformation, we will try to gradually release them back to the blessed land. If they refuse to repent, we can only use them for some more vicious experiments, such as trying to alienate them and use various yin and demonic energy to induce them to mutate. The mortality rate of such experiments is extremely high, and it is difficult to control. Lu Xuan noticed that the stone cave in the middle area was obviously more heavily guarded than the one above. Various rune patterns were engraved in the stone cave to suppress the monsters inside. Some monsters even had various magic tools to lock them up and restrict their actions. Fierce eyes shot out from the dim stone cave and stayed on Lu Xuan, as if treating it as prey. With the 6th grade old dragon turtle by his side, Lu Xuan was not afraid at all. He even took the initiative to get close to observe the situation of the beasts in the stone cave, and did not take them seriously at all. The bottom layer holds some evil beasts. These evil beasts are invaded, occupied, or parasitized by evil spirits. They are mentally unclear and have strange abilities. They are very good research subjects. These evil beasts are one level more dangerous than the evil beasts. Each evil beast is locked up with a formation restriction, for fear that they will run out of the forbidden area. That old fox usually stays down here. The old dragon turtle introduced to Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan looked at the bottom. Although he could not see the specific scene below, his spiritual consciousness was keenly aware of the obscure side coming from below. Under the focus of all kinds of sights, Lu Xuan felt a chill on his back, deep into his bones. Old turtle, why are you bringing a foundation building cultivator into the forbidden area? An old voice sounded in Lu Xuan's ears. There was a strong sense of decay in the voice. This is a friend of mine. We are very close. Bring him here to see what he has to offer. Just because you are close to me, you can bring anyone in. If you do something against the rules in the forbidden area, can you, an old turtle, take the responsibility? The old voice was getting closer and closer. Old fox, are you so blind that you didn't even see the demon control token on my friend? The old dragon turtle sneered. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 459, Collecting Blood. He is just a mid-stage foundation building cultivator who is in charge of the 10,000 monsters cave on behalf of others. So what if he has the demon control token? A thin figure walked out slowly in the dimness. Lu Xuan looked closely and saw that the figure was a grey-black fox. The fox looked like it had entered its twilight years. Its movements were slow, its eyes were cloudy, and its grey-black hair was sparse and messy, flying freely as if it had life. Several grey-black tumors on its back were very conspicuous. They contracted and expanded with the pace of the old fox, and it seemed that something was gestating inside. There was no trace of the demeanor of a 5th grade spirit beast. With the demon control token, you can naturally pass through the forbidden area without hindrance. Why, you old fox who has not seen the sun for a long time still have an opinion. The old dragon turtle was superior to the fox spirit beast in terms of age and strength, and his tone was full of impoliteness. Whether it lives or dies, it has nothing to do with me. The old fox left a sentence, glanced at Lu Xuan with indifferent eyes, and re-entered the darkness. Lu boy, do you want to go to the bottom floor to take a look? Don't worry, the divination I made is very stable, and nothing will happen. The dragon turtle asked Lu Xuan. Okay, then I'll trouble you to come with me. Lu Xuan was also a little curious about the bottom of the forbidden area. A man and a beast slowly floated down. The bottom area is much smaller than the pit hole, and the number of stone caves is even rarer. Each stone cave is arranged with powerful formations and prohibitions on all sides. Lu Xuan followed the dragon turtle and looked curiously at the alienated monsters in the stone cave. The first thing that caught his eye was a demon snake with a beautiful girl's head. The facial features were beautiful and pitiful, making people want to take care of it. But when you see the body below the head, you basically won't have this idea. There are rows of dark holes on the pale body. From time to time, long worms like grey and black filaments crawl out of the hole. The long worms float in the air, gather together, and devour each other. It forms a strong impact with the beautiful face. When passing the next stone cave, Lu Xuan saw hundreds or thousands of scarlet pupils suddenly appear inside, and the whole stone cave suddenly became blood red. Many scarlet pupils with tentacles crawled on the ground like headless flies, and finally merged into the body of an evil monster. The monster had no head, but a huge scarlet eyeball. Even though there were layers of formations and restrictions, when Lu Xuan looked into the scarlet eyeball, he still felt dizzy and his eyes twitched, as if something was about to crawl out of it. The dragon turtle snorted coldly, directly suppressing the man with its power. Its terrifying power spread out with itself as the center, suppressing the huge scarlet eyeball tightly, and it had to close its pupils. It feels so good to have a big boss around, and the sense of security is maximized. Lu Xuan sighed in his heart. Then, he saw another evil spider, with 8 slender legs propped up high, like 8 sharp bone knives. The spider was full of blood, and a baby's face could be vaguely seen dormant on its back, with its eyes tightly closed. Countless blood-red tentacles on its body spread into the spider's body. Evil and strange monsters appeared in front of Lu Xuan one after another, which opened his eyes and satisfied his curiosity. After the old dragon turtle took him for a walk, he went straight back to the entrance of the pit. Boy, if you want to go into the forbidden area in the future, you can enter directly with the demon palm order. The monsters, fierce beasts, and evil beasts inside are all restricted by formations and sealed with magic tools and treasures. As long as you don't take the initiative to provoke them, there will be no safety problems. Before coming in, you can ask me for a divination. If you really encounter any dangerous situation, you can ask the old fox for help. After all, he has been in the sect for more than 1,000 years and is trustworthy. It's just that he is a little withdrawn and doesn't seem to be easy to get along with. In addition, unlike an old guy like me who has a long lifespan, it is estimated that he doesn't have much lifespan. He has been staying in the forbidden area and studying and experimenting with fierce beasts and evil beasts. This may have something to do with it. The old dragon turtle sent a voice message to Lu Xuan. Yes, thank you for the reminder, senior dragon turtle. Lu Xuan expressed his gratitude to the old dragon turtle, said goodbye to it, and returned to the cloud house. Unlike Sun Yun and others, he did not need to tame spirit beasts. He only needed to sit in the cloud house every day to coordinate the management of the entire blessed land. During the period of guarding, he practiced the Blue Lotus Sword Sutra that he had just started, as well as the other two sword techniques. In addition, he also practiced the Shenyan Sutra, Poho and Tang Shu, and visualized the pure Yang True Fire Talisman. His life was quite fulfilling. Half a month passed in a blink of an eye. On this day, his spiritual consciousness suddenly sensed a movement in the blessed land. Looking down at the entire blessed land from the thick clouds, he saw thousands of spirit beasts running wildly on the ground, and bird-like spirit beasts flew high, turning into a series of after images that passed under Lu Xuan's eyes. What's going on? Lu Xuan was puzzled. Brother Lu, the Emperor Flowing Blood Spirit is about to burst out in the blessed land. These spirit beasts have sensed it, so they seem a little anxious. Brother, you can use the demon control order to calm all the spirit beasts down at this moment, so as to avoid a riot. A cultivator in the early stage of foundation building explained to Lu Xuan in detail. Emperor Flowing Blood. Lu Xuan muttered to himself, and his spiritual consciousness penetrated into the demon control order in his hand. Under the control of his mind, all the spirit beasts in the entire blessed land could not help but tremble slightly, and they stopped one after another, each occupying a position. After waiting for a while, Lu Xuan felt something in his heart, and looked up at the boundless sky. The blue-black sky suddenly became much brighter, and then, strands of milky white light fell from the sky. All the guardian spirit beasts did not scramble for the milky white light, but at most used their own innate blood to intercept and hold the milky white light and use it for themselves. Lu Xuan stretched out his hand and let the milky white light fall on his palm. Instantly, he felt a cold energy flow into his body, flowing through his limbs and bones in an instant. His flesh and blood greedily absorbed the faint energy, and his physical fitness continued to improve. This Emperor Flowing Berry is really mysterious. Even with my strength and body, I can feel obvious changes after absorbing it. Lu Xuan's mind moved, and his spiritual consciousness expanded to the fullest, trying to capture the milky white light that was falling. I have to collect more of this kind of treasure, and bring it back to Feng Falcon and Li Huo Jiao. It may greatly promote the growth of the spirit beasts in the cave. Unfortunately, the milky white light was ethereal, and seemed to have its own destiny. It was extremely difficult to capture. He spent a lot of effort to collect about half a bottle. The Emperor Flowing Berry that burst out became less and less. In less than half a minute, the sky turned blue-black again. Thousands of spirit beasts crawled on the ground, absorbing and refining the Emperor Flowing Berry collected this time. From time to time, a spirit beast suddenly roared, and its breath suddenly surged, and its strength increased a lot. After a long time, all the spirit beasts returned to their homes with unsatisfied feelings. Lu Xuan turned his head and glanced at his fellow disciples who were left on the cloud. Seeing that they had less than 30% of the Emperor's flowing juice in their hands, he felt better. Today is my family's birthday, so we had a small gathering. There is only one chapter today, and I will make up for it with 3 chapters tomorrow. Chapter 460, Forbidden Land Bloodbath. He put away half a bottle of Emperor Flowing Juice and returned to the cloud house. After a while, there was a slight movement outside the house. Lu Xuan opened the door and saw the little white ape standing at the door, staring with a pair of crystal red jade eyes. In his hand was a small white jade bottle, which was filled with a full bottle of Emperor Flowing Juice. When the little white ape saw Lu Xuan, he handed the bottle to him directly. For me? Lu Xuan asked in surprise. The little white ape nodded and gestured with his hands. Because it was so small, Lu Xuan could directly see a few silver white hairs on the back of its head. From the thoughts it conveyed, he learned that this bottle of Emperor Flowing Juice was collected by the old ape and given to Lu Xuan as an early reward for cultivating the heart monkey fruit for it. I dare not refuse the gift from the elder, so I will not be polite. Lu Xuan was delighted and took the bottle of Emperor Flowing Juice. He took out some spiritual fruits from the storage bag and gave them to the little white ape as snacks. When he was collecting the Emperor's flowing liquid before, he saw that many spirit beasts in the blessed land used various methods to intercept the Emperor's flowing liquid with their blood talents. Among them, the white ape and the dragon turtle created the most obvious phenomenon, which could be seen clearly even from the high clouds. A white ape Dharma image appeared out of thin air, hundreds of feet high, looking up as if swallowing the moon, and countless Emperor's flowing liquids poured into the Dharma image. Another evolved a huge hexagram, and the hexagram spiritual pattern swam, absorbing all the Emperor's flowing liquid that fell from dozens of miles around into the hexagram. Unexpectedly, the old ape was very considerate and left him a bottle. After the little white ape left, Xuan was really bored and thinking about the countless monster materials in the Forbidden Land, so he came to the lake. "Lu kid, are you here? How much did you collect from the wave of Emperor's flowing liquid just now?" The old dragon turtle lay comfortably on a flat boulder, with dozens of old and mottled blue-black turtle shells drying next to him. "I'm lucky. I collected half a bottle of Emperor flowing juice, which can be used to feed several spirit beasts in the sect." Xuan answered truthfully. "It's only half a bottle. What can you do? Take it. This bottle is for you to strengthen your body." The old dragon turtle sneered, and a bottle of Emperor flowing juice floated in front of Xuan. "Thank you, senior." Xuan didn't expect such a pleasant surprise, and hurriedly thanked him. As for the slight mockery in the tone of the 6th grade dragon turtle, he didn't take it to heart at all. With a bottle of Emperor flowing juice in hand, it would be no problem to mock for an hour or so. "By the way, senior, I want to go to the forbidden area today, and I'm worried that the fierce beasts and evil beasts inside will cause any problems. I would like to trouble you to tell my fortune for me." He put away the Emperor flowing juice and asked the old dragon turtle. "Okay." The old dragon turtle replied simply. The spirit patterns on the dozens of tortoise shells next to him kept swimming. Xuan sensed that there was a key in the dark that locked on him. After a few breaths, the key disappeared and a hexagram symbol appeared on the tortoise shell. "Don't worry, there's no danger. If you do it well, you may be able to find some opportunities." The old dragon turtle blew its two long dragon whiskers and waved its short forelimbs at Xuan. "I don't know how you, a kid, cultivated to the middle stage of foundation building. You are so cautious. I can't help it. I want to compete with you, old guy, in lifespan." Xuan chuckled and said goodbye to the old dragon turtle. Half a minute later, he came to the edge of the pit in the forbidden area. The spiritual consciousness penetrated into the demon palm order in his hand. A layer of light red light appeared on the surface of the demon palm order. When the formation prohibition outside the forbidden area touched the red light, a passage that could accommodate one person automatically appeared. He slowly floated down the pit. This time, without the old dragon turtle by his side, Xuan had to be more cautious. Fortunately, all the fierce beasts and evil beasts in the forbidden area were locked by formation instruments and other prohibitions. The only 5th grade fox spirit beast that could threaten him was in the hands of Xuan, after he had the demon palm order. In addition, for the sake of safety, he asked the old dragon turtle to tell him a fortune. He had various hidden magic tools and means on his body. Even if there were several perfect foundation building cultivators or fierce beasts of equal strength, Xuan was confident that he could easily deal with them. Last time, he just took a rough look, but this time Xuan visited more carefully. He noticed that there were 4 narrow passages in the stone caves on all sides, and there was a strong bloody smell in the passages. Xuan listened carefully and could vaguely hear a slight roar of beasts coming from inside. The green shoes on his feet showed a spiritual light, and a spiritual force pushed him to the entrance of the passage. The soil on the ground of the passage was soft and dark red. When he stepped on it, he could feel a slight stickiness. I don't know how much monster blood was integrated into it. Xuan slowly walked to the depths of the passage. There were also stone caves on both sides of the passage, which contained many kinds of monsters, most of which were 2nd grade, and there were also many 3rd grade foundation building level monsters. Seeing Xuan, the monsters bared their teeth at him, but unfortunately, under the effect of the formation outside the stone cave, they could only bluff. After walking a mile or two, Xuan entered a huge stone hall. The moment he entered the stone hall, his pupils shrank slightly. There was actually a monk in the center of the stone hall. With his current spiritual awareness, he did not even detect the breath of this monk. When he detected it, the monk was bare-chested, bald, muscular, and full of blood. I don't know how many souls died in his hands. A dark red chain separated and passed through his left and right scapula. The runes on the chain flickered. In his hand, he held a huge ghost-headed knife about 10 feet long. The ghost-headed knife on the handle was biting a piece of monster meat. A huge wolf-shaped monster was crawling at his feet. The ghost-headed knife was aimed at the wolf monster's head and gently released. The head immediately rolled down. The crack was extremely smooth. The blood and essence in the monster's corpse seemed to have not reacted yet. After the bald monk killed the wolf monster, his hands flew like flying, dealing with various parts of the wolf monster's body. The useful parts were piled together, while other useless organs, intestines, flesh, and blood were placed aside. Your Excellency is a little unfamiliar. I don't know what to call you. Why do you have Uncle Kangwoo's demon control order in your hand? The bald monk saw Lu Xuan and asked while dealing with the corpse of the monster in his hand. I'm Lu Xuan, an inner sect disciple of the Xianjian sect. I'm in charge of this blessed land of the 10,000 monsters cave on behalf of our uncle who has reached the giant stage. May I ask who you are, brother? Lu Xuan keenly noticed that the bald monk called Kangwoo Zen an uncle master and probably learned that he was also a monk of the Xianjian sect. He roughly sensed it with his spiritual consciousness, and through the thick bloody smell that seemed to be real, he could vaguely perceive that the bald monk had reached the realm of perfect foundation building. I can't even remember who I am. Now I'm just a blood butcher who stays in the forbidden area. You can just call me Brother Zhu. The bald monk put the processed monster meat into the storage bag, and the other pile of useless scraps were piled together. During the action, the dark red chain passing through the shoulder blade kept shaking, and bursts of slight sounds were heard. I'm just a sinner in the sect, and I'm staying in the forbidden area to slowly atone for my sins. Chapter 461 I'm picking up trash in the forbidden area. Sinner? Lu Xuan muttered in a low voice. The bold blood butcher was imprisoned in the forbidden area, and there was a chain on his scapula to restrict his movements. Based on his understanding of the sect's regulations, the crime he committed was probably not small. Yes, I was impulsive and irritable when I was young and committed the great crime of killing. However, there were reasons for the crime, and the crime was not punishable by death. The uncle master of the discipline horde imprisoned me in the forbidden area to deal with monsters and temper my desire to kill. The bald monk said slowly. I stayed alone in the forbidden area with monsters every day. Unknowingly, hundreds of years have passed, and I don't know what the outside world is like. His blood-red eyes were extremely deep at this time. He looked into the depths of the passage and remained silent. I have been in prison for hundreds of years, killing monsters every day. I killed monsters and exorcised demons in the forbidden area of Wanyao Cave. An absurd thought flashed through Lu Xuan's mind, and he probably knew why he didn't know the existence of the bald blood butcher at the beginning. He stood quietly aside, carefully thinking about the truthfulness of the bald monk's tone. His identity as a disciple of the Heaven Sword sect should not be false. After all, the sect would not lock up an irrelevant person or evil cultivator in the forbidden area of the 10,000 monsters cave. From his mouth, it can be known that Master Kangwoo knew of his existence. But as for the sins he mentioned, it is impossible to judge. However, this has nothing to do with him. What he values is the vast amount of monster flesh and blood in the forbidden area. Brother Zhu too kills monsters every day. Don't you feel bored? Lu Xuan asked tentatively. I'm used to it, but I don't feel bored or not. Looking at your condition, killing monsters for so many years seems to have a great impact on you. This is inevitable. The bald monk grinned, revealing a mouthful of sharp teeth. There are 3 types of monsters that need to be dealt with in the forbidden area. One type has an ordinary origin and is mainly used for various experiments and to raise certain monsters in the cave of 10,000 monsters that need blood for food. The processing process for this type is relatively simple. After killing them, just separate the useful parts. The blessed land is full of spiritual beasts, which are quite picky eaters. Even normal monsters that are simply used as food have certain parts of their bodies that cannot be used to feed them. It's just that those monsters, after failed experiments, have various poisonous gases and yun energy remaining in their bodies, which makes it a little more troublesome to deal with them. The second type is those ferocious beasts. Although these ferocious beasts are sealed by various formations and magic weapons, they must be released when they are dealt with. This makes them ferocious in an instant, and it is relatively difficult to deal with them. Finally, there are those evil beasts. Each evil beast is extremely evil. You must remain vigilant when dealing with them, so as not to be polluted and invaded by the evil aura in their bodies, which will lead to your own alienation. The bald monk spoke to Lu Xuan incessantly, perhaps because he hadn't talked to anyone for too long. How to deal with the corpses of the killed monsters and fierce beasts? Lu Xuan asked curiously. Those that can be used to feed spirit beasts are stored together and placed in storage bags. As for the scraps that cannot be used to feed spirit beasts, those that are not harmful are directly piled in the forbidden area. Those that are harmful to monsters and monks are refined with formations or taken out of the forbidden area and destroyed. The bald monk answered in detail. Lu Xuan's eyes lit up slightly. There is a lot of room for maneuver here. Brother Zhu, I wonder if you need help. If you need it, I can come and help you at ordinary times. Brother Lu, why don't you practice well? Do you want to come to the forbidden area to deal with monsters? The bald monk was puzzled. The forbidden area was filled with bloody evil spirits, and there were also many other poisonous and evil spirits. Other fellow disciples were too busy to avoid them, so why would they think of coming here to deal with monsters? I have nothing to do in the blessed land, I just want to do some minor work for the sect. Don't worry, brother, I know the priorities, and will not delay my own cultivation. Lu Xuan said firmly. The reason why I want to come here to help you, Brother Zhu, is to take this opportunity to understand the body structure and characteristics of various monsters, so that if I encounter them outside in the future, I can play to my strengths and avoid my weaknesses and solve them safely. He made up a reason that sounded very sincere. If you don't mind, you can stay here and deal with the monsters with me. I will tell you the detailed characteristics of each monster I kill. The bald monk believed most of Lu Xuan's reason. Then I'll trouble you, brother. A smile appeared on the corner of Lu Xuan's mouth. The spirit beasts in the blessed land have been domesticated, and their eating habits are naturally different from those of the monsters. In order not to affect their physical condition and growth, they must pay attention to taboos in many aspects. But the evil spirit plants and flesh spirit gods in the underworld courtyard are different. They are originally evil and strange things. They would rather eat the flesh and blood of monsters that are full of poison and evil aura. How can they be picky? Maybe if Lu Xuan took a pile of flesh and blood stained with poison, blood, or yin and foul aura, they would think that the taste is too light. Since you insist on dealing with the flesh and blood of monsters, then I would trouble you to help me throw away this pair of monster scraps. There is a 1,000-foot abyss a few miles ahead. Usually these monster scraps are thrown there. I'm not mobile, and throwing them away is not as easy as killing a few monsters. I will leave this matter to you, junior brother. No problem. Lu Xuan readily agreed, walked easily to the pile of useless monster scraps, and put the materials piled up like a small mountain into the storage bag. I didn't expect that I, a disciple of a big sect and the most famous spiritual plant master of Xianjian sect, would actually pick up garbage in the forbidden area. He took a pile of scraps and found the dark abyss according to the guidance of the bald monk. There was an unknown amount of monster meat condensed in the abyss, and blood was surging. Lu Xuan, who was standing on a high place, could clearly sense it. He scanned the surroundings with his spiritual sense, and a grey-white pupil appeared in the void. He opened the storage bag, and a large amount of monster scraps poured down. Just before he fell less than 10 feet, a wrinkled light grey bag appeared below. The bag was wide open, and all the monster scraps were poured into it. It was a 5th grade treasure derived from the black insect vine, the gluttonous insect bag. The space was unknown how many times larger than that of an ordinary storage bag. The monster flesh and blood could be kept fresh to the greatest extent in it, which was just suitable for storing them. It's a pity that there are not many monster scraps in the abyss, otherwise I can go down and recycle them into the gluttonous insect bag. His eyes appeared hazy, and he looked at the bottom of the abyss, and found that there were not many monster scraps left. Fortunately, I have the treasure of gluttonous insect sac in my hand, which can store a lot of scraps, and ensure their freshness. It will be like this in the future. While I'm dealing with the scraps of monsters, I will recycle them, and feed them to blood Sinflower, strange longevity peaches, flesh spirit god and others, when I go back. It's not easy to be the head of the family. I have to pick up garbage to grow flowers and plants. Lu Xuan sighed in his heart. Chapter 462. Tiger head snake tail beast. New idea. Farming is not easy, so he performs in the forbidden land. In the following period of time, Lu Xuan came to the forbidden land from time to time, found the bald monk, and learned from him how to quickly and harmlessly deal with various monsters. After processing, he took the opportunity to throw away the monster scraps and put them all into the gluttonous insect bag. Out of caution, every time he went to the Forbidden Land, he would go to the old dragon turtle first and let it predict his fortune and misfortune. After confirming that there was no problem, he would enter the Forbidden Land. On this day, Xuan came to the abyss with a bag full of processed monster scraps. The spiritual light of the soul-enhancing post in his mind lit up slightly, and his spiritual consciousness quickly extended out. After confirming that no one was watching him, he moved his mind, and an evil lantern appeared in his hand. The pale lampshade seemed to be made of human skin, and the lamp handle was like a slender white bone. Holding it in the hand, you can feel the chill. Under the lamp holder, countless dark red lamp tassels swayed gently without wind. On the pale candle at the innermost part, there were many faces of resentful souls, screaming silently, crowded together, and some of the faces still had the blurred features of familiar people. The lantern was the sole guiding lamp that came out from the light group of the ghost-faced stone mushroom, which could attract the resentful ghosts within a certain range and store them in the candle. So many monsters and fierce beasts died in the forbidden area, as well as those strange evil beasts. There should be a lot of ghosts left. Xuan's spiritual power poured into the soul guiding lamp, and suddenly, countless dark red lamp tassels under the lamp holder danced violently, and a little pale light lit up on the pale candle. After a few breaths, the ghosts of monsters flew out from all over the passage, and rushed into the candle frantically. In an instant, it filled the entire candle. The ghosts of several foundation building monks absorbed in the secret realm of the boundless sea at the bottom wailed frantically, constantly biting the ghosts of monsters pressing on them. It's full, I can't absorb any more. Seeing that there was really no space on the pale candle, Xuan put away the soul guiding lamp with a sense of unfulfilled desire. The ghosts and resentments needed for the early growth of the Yinku would have been prepared. It is the duty of the heavenly sword monk to purify the forbidden environment. Xuan said righteously, finding a perfect reason for himself. After sweeping away the ghosts of the nearby monsters, he returned to the hall where the bald monk was. Brother Lu, a special monster will be sent over later. If you are interested, you can stay for a while, the bald monk said to Xuan, while handling the things at hand. Okay, Brother Zutu. Xuan walked forward and concentrated on observing the bald monk's handling methods. After waiting for half an hour, the 5th grade old fox seen earlier slowly walked into the stone hall. Behind it, a monster corpse with a strange shape was floating in the air. The monster seemed to be made up of two completely different halves of its body. Its head was a huge tiger head with a ferocious shape. Even with its eyes closed, one could sense its terrifying power. Below the head was a long and thick monster snake body. Its dark blue scales were gleaming with a faint black light, and it looked extremely hard. The junction between the two was extremely harmonious and natural, as if it was born in this form. The old fox glanced at Xuan who was standing beside him, and remained silent. He threw the corpse of the tiger-headed and snake-tailed beast to the bald monk, and retreated without saying a word. Brother Zutu, this monster corpses. After the old fox left for a while, Xuan came to the bald monk. He looked at the corpse of the tiger-headed and snake-tailed monster, and his eyes revealed a bit of excitement. The dark red chain on his scapula shook gently, and the ghost-headed knife, which was more than 10 feet long, was tightly held in his hand, cutting the corpse into pieces. Brother, don't be surprised. This is just a failed experimental material. It is no different from other normal monster corpses. The bald monk grinned. I see, this is the first time I've seen such an abnormal monster. I'm a little curious. Xuan nodded. There are many experiments on various monsters, fierce beasts and even evil beasts in the forbidden area. They are mainly divided into 3 types. One is more ordinary, simple breeding. Through various means, let them mate with each other. After rounds of experiments, see if you can get a monster with stronger blood. This kind of experiment method often has a long cycle and takes a long time to get results. If you want to cultivate a new monster with better blood, it will take dozens or even hundreds of years. Xuan nodded and thought of the 4th grade lion beast he had tamed. It has a fusion of 2 powerful bloodlines. Its appearance is similar to that of this tiger-headed but snake-tailed monster. Although it has outstanding talent, it has some problems with its brain and its intelligence is below average. The other is the purification and fusion of blood. We directly collect the essence of different monsters and use special spiritual objects to induce and catalyze them to test whether they can be fused and whether their spirituality remains unchanged or even becomes stronger. This method has a relatively low success rate and a relatively high cost, but the experimental time is relatively shorter. The last one is relatively simple and crude, just like this dead monster. When doing experiments on them, we will try to transplant and so their different bodies to see if the spiritual power and flesh and blood power repel each other. This often has a very high mortality rate. Although the bald monk looked bloody on the surface, his personality was very kind. He patiently explained to Xuan. Xuan nodded suddenly. Were all the monster experiments in the forbidden area completed by the spirit beast senior just now? Yes, the senior is the famous Kinky fox demon in the Fox clan. He was rescued by a Yuan ancestor of our sect many years ago and brought back to the sect. It has the right to freely dispose of the monsters and fierce beasts in the forbidden area. The bald monk replied. Will those experiments on fierce beasts and evil beasts be somewhat contrary to the precepts of our sect? After all, we are a famous and orthodox sect. If such inhumane experiments are conducted secretly and leaked out, it may damage the reputation of the sect. Xuan expressed his concern. They are originally some fierce beasts and evil beasts. It is their blessing to be able to contribute a little to the sect before they die. The bald monk sneered, and his words were obviously heretical. No wonder you, brother, have been locked up in the forbidden area for hundreds of years after saying such things. Xuan secretly complained in his heart. However, I, your humble brother, happen to be the same type of person as you. He added. Although he is kind to others, does not actively harm others, and strictly abides by the rules of the sect, he has a very flexible moral bottom line. He has no strange thoughts in his heart about the various evil spiritual plants and even evil spirits such as the flesh spirit god that ordinary orthodox monks avoid. No matter what kind of spiritual plant it is, as long as it can bloom a ball of light, it is a good spiritual plant. It was enough to not do anything that would harm nature during the breeding process. The monster experiments in the forbidden area opened up new ideas for him. Chapter 463 Rich Experience. The several spirit beasts he had obtained before were all hatched normally and then raised normally, which was a very normal route. However, the experimental methods in the Forbidden Land can be described as strange, and various high-grade monsters were obtained in an unconventional way. Although the process was stained with the essence and blood of various monsters and fierce beasts, the possibility of obtaining high-grade monsters was much higher. The special abilities he mastered can also play an effective role in these experimental methods. For example, in the transplantation and suturing of monsters, Xuan can get the status feedback of the monsters in the first time through the method of raising them after suturing, thus saving a lot of time. Thinking of this, he gradually became excited and soon had the idea of joining the Forbidden Land Beast experiment. Find a few people and talk to the Kinky fox spirit beast through the old dragon turtle or the white ape to see if they can help it during the experiment. Xuan thought to himself and returned to the cloud house. He is now in charge of the entire blessed land, and he must be aware of any disturbances in the blessed land. He can only come here when he is free to deal with the monster scraps. After he left, an old voice sounded in the blood-colored stone hall. How is it? The old fox entered the stone hall again, with several corpses of monsters floating behind him. On the surface, he looks like a spiritual plant master with spiritual plant talent, who is keen on cultivating spiritual plants, and has a great interest in monsters. He is cautious. But after I told him the specific methods of the Forbidden Beast experiment, his expression did not change, but I could not hide the eagerness in his heart. It seems that, even if he is not the same kind as us, he is not much different. We can try to develop it. Being able to face this kind of monster experiment calmly has already surpassed most of the monks in the sect. The old fox said expressionlessly. I decided to pull him in. There was a strong sense of determination in its old tone. So soon? Don't you investigate more? The bald monk was stunned when he heard the old fox's words. After all, our current understanding of him is superficial, and we can't figure out his specific character and thoughts. He suggested to the Kinky fox spirit beast. Zutu, my time is running out. The old fox said calmly. The bald monk who had been with it in the forbidden area for hundreds of years could hear the fatigue behind its voice. Then do as you say. I hope this junior brother won't let you down, he said helplessly. After listening to Sun Yun's report on the situation of the Wanyeo cave blessed land, Lu Xuan went to the old dragon turtle to tell a fortune as usual. Lu kid, your fortune is a little special today. The old dragon turtle's shell spiritual pattern swam on its back and suddenly said in surprise. Why, is it a sign of great misfortune? Lu Xuan asked hurriedly. No, on the contrary, if it is handled well, there will be a great opportunity, the old dragon turtle said in an unfathomable way. Lu Xuan asked specifically, but he didn't say anything. Lu Xuan had no choice but to come to the forbidden area with full curiosity. While descending to the bottom of the pit, he glanced casually and entered the passage. After dealing with the corpses of several monsters, he found an opportunity to collect the blood and flesh scraps. When he returned to the stone hall, he unexpectedly saw the figure of the old fox spirit beast. Senior. Lu Xuan bowed respectfully and greeted him. The old fox nodded expressionlessly and suddenly asked, I need a helper for my experiment. Are you willing to come and help me? Lu Xuan was stunned for a moment, then reacted and asked, I wonder what you need me to do. If I can, I will definitely serve you. According to the old ape and the dragon turtle, this old fox has a strange personality and keeps to himself, so Lu Xuan treated him with extra respect. Come with me, the old fox said to Lu Xuan, and then slowly walked out of the stone hall. Lu Xuan stroked the palm demon order hanging on his waist, and without hesitation, he followed closely behind the old fox with sparse hair and grey-black tumors. The man and the beast came to a relatively low position, and entered a passage. In the stone caves on both sides of the passage, there were many beasts of different species. What was different from other stone caves was that there were more beasts inside, 2 or even 3 or 4. There were several fierce beasts in the caves that were in the breeding stage. They did not stop when they saw Lu Xuan. What you have to do is very simple, that is, to assist me in completing various monster experiments. For example, you need to observe the reproduction of the monsters and ensure that they mate successfully. If you find any abnormalities, you must use various means to promote their reproduction. The old fox said slowly in an old tone. This junior has no problem. Lu Xuan nodded gently. It was more than no problem. The reproduction of monsters was nothing in front of him, a master of beasts. After entering the Xianjian sect, he had solved many monster breeding problems, from the ancient beast Yunyangkun fish with unlimited potential to the basic spirit beasts of the sect, the spirit crane clan. All the fertility problems encountered were easily solved by him. What's more, he still had a lot of strong aphrodisiac pills in his hands. No matter how determined the monsters were, they would turn into hungry ghosts in lust after taking the pills and obediently become breeding tools. Therefore, he had rich experience in the reproduction of monsters. The old fox said nothing and continued to walk forward with Lu Xuan. Going further in, the number of monsters imprisoned in the stone caves on both sides of the passage was much less, basically one monster, and some of the stone caves were even empty. The blood of the beasts imprisoned here is extraordinary. What you need to do is to extract their blood essence in time and send it to me when I need it. The old fox said in a low voice. Draw blood from the beasts. Lu Xuan was stunned. Don't worry, all the beasts are in a state of confinement during the blood drawing process and will not threaten or harm you. The old fox seemed to have learned about Lu Xuan's character from the bald monk and took the initiative to explain. Well, I know. Lu Xuan suppressed the strangeness in his heart and replied. Asking me to draw blood, isn't that just returning to my old business? When he was still in the key training stage, he drew the blood essence of hundreds and thousands of dragons and pythons in Qian Long Lake. After breaking through to the foundation building stage, he made this a regular project and went to Qian Long Lake every once in a while. Under the warm welcome of fellow dragon breeders, he drew countless bottles of blood essence from the dragons under the guise of checking their bodies. Even if there were big bloodsuckers like the blood sunflower and the blood spirit palm ginseng, there was no need to worry that the dragon's blood essence would be consumed in a short period of time. There were so many bottles and jars of dragon blood essence in the storage bag. I have already had a wealth of experience in the industry before the formal experiment. Am I born to do this? Lu Xuan secretly sighed. Chapter 464. Death is coming. Lu Xuan walked slowly in the dark passage. When he came to a stone cave, he followed the old fox's instructions and used his spiritual power to open the restrictions outside the stone cave. A fierce monster rushed out fiercely, but was pulled back into the depths of the stone cave by the rune chains on its body. He had long been accustomed to the fierce appearance of these beasts and entered the stone cave calmly. In addition to the forbidden formations outside the stone cave, all the beasts imprisoned in the forbidden area also had various magical instruments on their bodies to seal their demonic power and restrict their movements. Their strength was only 1/3 of what it was, and Lu Xuan could easily deal with them. Be good, let me draw some blood. In the stone cave was a giant black snake with a pair of heads, looking at Lu Xuan fiercely. Seeing the special blood drawing magic weapon in his hand, the huge body couldn't help but shiver and lay on the ground obediently. The sharp magic weapon easily penetrated its black scales, and a fountain of blood gushed out from the inside, quickly filling the magic weapon. After Lu Xuan finished drawing blood, he took out a bottle of solvent with a strange smell from the storage bag. This is a special solvent given to him by the old fox, which can fuse the blood of various monsters and purify them. The blood of the giant snake is black and red, and it is extremely toxic. It makes people feel dizzy when they smell it. Pour it into the strange solvent, and suddenly, the black and red blood reacts violently in the solvent, and the color becomes deeper and deeper, as if it wants to absorb Lu Xuan's spiritual consciousness. He collected the processed monster snake blood, and entered another stone cave that the old fox asked. After opening the ban, a strange toad the size of a millstone came into view. The toad's skin is colorful, and it is extremely toxic at first glance. There is poisonous smoke pouring out when it breathes. It looked at the blood-drawing magic weapon that Lu Xuan stretched out. Although it did not react, its eyes were full of resentment. Don't look at me like that, I will be nervous, Lu Xuan said to the toad monster with a fake smile. With a push of his wrist, the needle-like magic weapon easily penetrated the thick skin of the toad. The giant toad was in pain and its body was shaking violently. Sorry, I inserted it in the wrong place. Let's try again. He pulled out the magic weapon, picked it up from left to right, and then stabbed it into the toad's body. The toad beast felt even more pain. There was still no blood coming out of the magic weapon. It's a bit unfamiliar, but it will definitely work if I try a few more times. Lu Xuan looked a little embarrassed and pulled out the special blood-drawing magic weapon again. After repeating it several times, he finally drew out a tube of colorful monster blood. Remember not to look at me like that in the future, otherwise I will be very nervous, he said to the toad beast with a smile. After the colorful blood was purified by a special solvent, it became another form of solution. There were colorful light balls floating in the solution, and the light balls were concentrated to the extreme, like stars. He held his breath and poured the black blood that he had drawn from the giant snake into the container. In an instant, the solution reacted violently. After coming into contact with the black blood essence, the colorful light balls exploded instantly like fireworks, leaving behind a bunch of colorful flocks. Failed. Lu Xuan recorded the reactions of the two purified blood essences in a book and sighed softly. As for the mixed blood essence after the failure, he put it into the gluttonous insect bag. It's quite suitable to take it back and feed it to the blood evil flower. Anyway, it is an evil spirit plant. This mixed blood essence may be a great tonic for it. Lu Xuan put the mixed blood essence into his bag without hesitation. He has been assisting the Kinky Fox Spirit Beast in the Fierce Beast experiment for some time. During this period, what he did every day was very simple. At first, he observed the monsters in the breeding state and tried to maintain their mating. After slowly getting familiar with the state and trusting him more and more, the old fox began to let him extract the blood essence of monsters and fierce beasts. After being treated with special solvents, he observed whether the selected monster blood essence could produce a benign reaction. However, every experiment ended in failure. Lu Xuan did not throw away the failed test products, but kept them in the gluttonous insect capsule and looked for opportunities to feed them to the blood evil flower, blood spirit palm ginseng and other underworld spiritual plants. During the experiment, he saw the diversity of the essence and blood of monsters. The essence and blood of various kinds of blood are very different in color and characteristics, which gave him a good understanding of the monsters in the world. After he completed the blood drawing work conscientiously day after day, the Kinkyu Fox Spirit Beast once again increased his workload. There will be things for you to do in the future. It found Lu Xuan, and its voice seemed more and more old and weak. Please speak, senior. Lu Xuan had long been accustomed to the way they get along with each other, and said respectfully, I think you already know that there are many special beasts in the forbidden area. These beasts are made by transplanting and stitching the trunks, limbs, and heads of different beasts. What I want you to do is very simple, that is, to raise and care for these stitched beasts, record their detailed conditions in time, and contact me at any time if anything abnormal happens. After the old fox finished speaking, he threw a blue-black talisman to Lu Xuan. The talisman seemed to be made of its own fur, and it felt delicate and soft in the hand, similar to skin. Junior understands. Lu Xuan nodded. He followed the old fox's instructions and came to the bottom of the pit to find those special monsters whose organs and even bodies were transplanted. Entering the stone cave, what appeared in front of him was a multi-clawed octopus with dozens of tentacles lying on the ground like a pool of mud. A monster eye was transplanted on the top of each tentacle, and most of the stitched parts were oozing with smelly pus. Lu Xuan took out a pile of water monsters and piled them in front of the multi-eyed octopus. The octopus beast weakly raised a tentacle, opened its pupils at the top, grabbed a half-foot-long spirit fish, and put it into its mouth. After eating one, it closed its eyes and had no interest in the remaining monster meat. Something is wrong with this state. Seeing the monster's reaction, Lu Xuan knew that something was wrong and concentrated his spiritual consciousness on the monster's body. Suddenly, a thought came to his mind. Unknown monster, 4th grade. 4th grade black breath giant seal was integrated into the stitched 1000-eye monster pupil, and unknown changes occurred in the body. Due to the rejection of spiritual power, the vitality is weak and is about to go out. I didn't expect that I could really see the detailed state of the transplanted and stitched beast. Lu Xuan was happy at first and once again realized the power of his special ability. Unfortunately, you are just a failed product. No hope. Wait for death. He glanced at the octopus beast lying on the ground in the stone cave, gave it a death sentence, and recorded his judgment. With this ability, the beasts that were transformed through experiments in the forbidden area will have no secrets under my nose. I can tell at a glance whether they are alive or dead, and how to save them. They are naturally suitable for this kind of experiment. Chapter 465 Taoist Soldier. There are not many evil beasts in the transformation state at the bottom of the forbidden area. Lu Xuan raised them one by one and learned detailed information about each evil beast. He blurred the information he got and recorded it in the form of guesses and estimates. From entering the Xianjian sect to the present, Lu Xuan did not mind showing his talent in spiritual plants and spiritual beasts. He was able to reach such a powerful position in a short period of time, relying on his attainments in spiritual plants and spiritual beasts, and the entire Xianjian sect saw it. A cultivator with profound attainments in spiritual plants and spiritual beasts will not pose much threat to other cultivators, but will be able to cooperate with them and gain many benefits. Jepu, Huo Liner, and Zhang Jingshan all met Lu Xuan because of this, and gave him the opportunity to obtain higher grade spiritual plants and spiritual beasts. Therefore, appropriately showing one's talent in spiritual plants and spiritual beasts will be beneficial and harmless. The possibility of obtaining high-grade spiritual plants and spiritual beasts will increase a lot, and the rewards of the light balls will also increase. As long as others are not informed of the existence of the light balls, it will be fine. That was his biggest secret, which could quickly improve his cultivation and obtain various rare treasures, so that an ordinary spiritual plant master like him could have a foundation for his livelihood. Sure enough, after he handed over his evil beast records and conjectures to the Kinkyu Fox Spirit Beast, it came to him. Do you have any basis for your conjectures about those evil beasts? It got straight to the point and asked Lu Xuan directly. The tumors on his back shrank and expanded rapidly, and it could be seen that he was extremely uneasy at the moment. If you think my conjecture is problematic, you can try it, or wait for time to prove it. Indeed. The old fox left a word and turned into a black light and disappeared in front of Xuan. After a few breaths, it appeared in front of Xuan carrying a strange beast. The beast retained the general characteristics of the toad monster, but its limbs were like pieces of green wood, and the skin texture on its back and chest was like a dry dark green bark, full of deep and shallow grooves. Xuan had some impression of this beast, and in his perception, only this beast had the greatest chance of survival. This beast is a mixture of two kinds of monsters, the greenwood demon and the bloodline toad. It barely survived after being stitched together, but a special toxin has been growing in its body. According to your guess, you seem to know something about this toxin? The old fox said hurriedly. This greenwood toad was considered a relatively successful transplant of evil beasts, but it still retained adverse reactions, making the beast's condition worrying. Unexpectedly, Xuan only took care of it for a period of time and roughly figured out the root of the problem. Replying to you, Senior, when I was raising this evil beast, I did some research and found that the toxins in its body were somewhat special. The toad beast itself is highly poisonous. In addition to the integration of the characteristics of the greenwood demon beast, the toxicity is further enhanced, and some unknown changes have also occurred. The toxins now seem to have vigorous vitality and can be continuously generated in the body of the beast. The toxins themselves exceed the limit of their own physique. Coupled with this characteristic, it is even more difficult to deal with. Therefore, this stitched beast has been in a process of toxin release and suppression, which causes a vicious reaction in the body and makes it difficult to raise normally. Then do you have a solution? The old fox's tone unconsciously became a little hurried. I have a 4th grade poisonous insect that has some knowledge of various types of poisons. You can try it. There are 2 problems with the beast now. First, we need to solve the life-giving toxins that have merged with its body. Second, we need to find a way to suppress the production of toxins in its body until it fully adapts to this body. The life-giving toxins are indeed novel in their angle. I never expected that it was actually the one causing the trouble. A gleam of light flashed in the old fox's cloudy eyes. Xuan's unique suggestion made it suddenly enlightened and it immediately had a way to deal with it. A layer of black light emerged from its body. The black light seemed to be able to isolate everything in the world and slowly merged into the body of the toad beast. After a while, the black light wrapped in a trace of green liquid slowly seeped out of the beast's body. The toad beast's condition improved visibly. After initially solving the problems in the beast's body, the old fox's chest flashed with a flash of light, and a stone lock appeared in front of it. There were countless dense runes drawn on the stone lock, and a strong breath of death came from it. It inserted the stone lock directly into the neck of the toad beast. In an instant, a layer of light grey light appeared on the whole body of the beast, and it looked lifeless. The grey light tried to penetrate into the beast's body, but was blocked by a layer of faint green spiritual light. The two reached a delicate balance. Quack! The toad beast chirped, and there was a sense of relief in the voice. Even the kinky fox spirit beast beside it could clearly detect it. Is this a new monster? The old fox stayed in place in a daze. It didn't expect that the transplant rejection problem that had been bothering it could be solved so easily. Even if it was just a new monster, it was not known how much easier it would be compared to the previous one. At present, only this problem has been solved, which does not mean that there will be no new rejection problems. Xuan said very seriously. That's right. The old fox grinned, as if he hadn't laughed for a long time, and was a little uncomfortable for a while. Little friend, why don't you name this new monster? Its tone was unfamiliar, but also revealed a bit of intimacy. Looking at its morphological characteristics, why not call it the greenwood toad? Okay. The old fox nodded gently. I didn't expect that you, little friend Lou, actually have such a terrifying talent. The old fox's tone was a little sad. It was really that Xuan's efficiency was too amazing. In a short time, he was able to find a way to sew up the problem of the beast. When I get along with spiritual plants and spiritual beasts, I can vaguely sense their status, so I can occasionally find some strange methods. However, this is mainly because you, the senior, did a good experiment and used all kinds of methods to get a new monster beast. I was just lucky and made a little discovery on this basis. Xuan said modestly. No wonder you can become the most famous spiritual plant master in the sect at this age, and achieve such great achievements." The old fox sighed. Suddenly, his expression became extremely solemn, and his messy hair flew wantonly. "I wonder if you have ever heard of a special spiritual beast, the Dao Soldier?" "Dao Soldier? I have never heard of it." Lu Xuan recalled in his mind. He had read so many classics in the Sutra library, but it was the first time he heard the word Dao Soldier. "Tao soldiers are a special kind of spiritual beasts. The purpose of my current experiment is to create them," the old fox said solemnly. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 466 dedicated to the sect. The so-called Dao soldiers are soldiers who practice Taoism. They can gather the spiritual power of many spirit beasts, unite them into one, and fight the enemy together. There are many ways to refine Dao soldiers. The most common one is to continuously train spirit beasts, use special means to engrave array patterns on spirit beasts, and use the power of arrays to combine the power of all spirit beasts. The experiment I did in the forbidden area is another method. Compared with the first method, it is a bit extreme. Through experiments, the blood of fierce beasts is improved, and special Dao soldiers that meet the requirements are selected. This kind of Dao soldiers are more powerful, the blood power is purer, and the spiritual intelligence is lower. They can absolutely obey orders, and are pure killing weapons. The old fox said slowly. It can be said that it is a high-level puppet that can gather the power of the same kind. Lu Xuan made a simple comment in his heart. "Thank you for clearing up my doubts. The beasts in the forbidden area are either fierce beasts that have committed serious mistakes, or some strange evil beasts. Using them for experiments and refining Dao soldiers is also justified," he said to the old fox. He had no opinion on this kind of fierce beast experiment at all, and even felt at ease. The old fox looked at Lu Xuan with his cloudy eyes, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He looked like, "I didn't misjudge you. After I finish the experiment, I will call you to come and see and sense the status of those fierce beasts and evil beasts," it slowly said to Lu Xuan. "No problem, I will do whatever you say." Lu Xuan lowered his head and replied. "There is one thing you have to pay attention to. Most of the experimental subjects are mysterious and evil monsters. Even if their movements are restricted, they will inevitably be affected if they are exposed to them for a long time. This is why I look like a ghost. Although you are not an experimenter, you are just observing and sensing the evil beasts, but it is best to pay attention to these. Thank you for your reminder, I will remember it." Lu Xuan still has a lot of earth fire heart lotus seeds in his hand, as well as Yunshan jade scrolls that can remove evil spirits, so he naturally doesn't worry about this situation. After learning about the purpose of the old fox's experiment, to improve the fierce beasts and evil beasts, he had new doubts in his heart. What is the purpose of this 5th grade Kinkyu fox spirit beast doing this? When he first came into contact with the old fox, he sensed the indifference and inhumanity of this 5th grade spirit beast. In addition, it had been staying in the forbidden land without sunlight, dealing with fierce beasts and evil beasts every day. Then he learned from the old dragon turtle that its lifespan was coming to an end. The gray-black tumor on its weak body made Lu Xuan's first impression of it not very good. He thought that the monster experiments were for some evil purpose. Now, after knowing that it was for refining the so-called Taoist soldiers, he was still curious about the old fox's intention. Could it be that he wanted to refine the Taoist soldiers, then grasp this powerful force in his hands, and then fight out of the blessed land and regain his freedom? Lu Xuan's thoughts were flying in his mind. A few days later, before entering the Forbidden Land, he came to the lake where the old dragon turtle was. From a distance, he saw a light yellow light flashing by. Lu Xuan practiced the breaking delusion pupil technique and his eyesight was far superior to that of the cultivators of the same level. He could tell at a glance that the light was the Bliss Heart Sutra given to the old dragon turtle. "My dear Lu, you're here to get my free divination again." The old dragon turtle lazily turned over. "What do you mean by free divination? I saw that you have been staying in the blessed land and your superb prediction ability has no place to be used, so I came here to practice with you," Lu Xuan said shamelessly. "Well, I just happened to be exhausted from basking in the Sunday." The old dragon turtle made up an excuse. Lu Xuan smiled without saying anything, quietly watching the mottled tortoise shell on its back constantly changing. "Old man, do you know about Taoist soldiers?" After learning that the divination was auspicious, Lu Xuan asked the old dragon turtle casually. "It seems that I have heard of it, but I don't know much about it. The things that the old fox in the Forbidden Land is tinkering with seem to be related to Taoist soldiers." The old dragon turtle replied. "You suddenly asked this. Did the old fox invite you to join its experiment?" Lu Xuan nodded. "No wonder you've been going to that pit so often recently. It's not wrong to give it a try, but don't be affected by the environment inside." "Thank you for your reminder, old man. I will definitely know the limits." Lu Xuan smiled and entered the forbidden area with peace of mind. First, he went to the bald monk to recycle the monster scraps and use the soul guiding lamp to sweep the monster ghosts in the pit. Then he checked the reproduction of the hybrid monsters, drew blood for observation according to the old fox's request, and finally sensed the specific status of several stitched monsters. After doing all this, Lu Xuan came to the old fox and gave it his guess. The old fox nodded with satisfaction. "Senior, this is the spirit juice I brewed myself. It uses a variety of spirit fruits and has a wonderful and varied taste. Please try it." Lu Xuan presented a bottle of spirit juice. Previously, he felt that the old fox was difficult to approach, so he never tried to feed it to understand it. After getting along for a while, he felt that the gap between the two was much less, so he could feed it with confidence. The old fox did not doubt him, sniffed the bottle mouth, and drank a sip. "What a good spiritual juice. I haven't tasted this 100-fruit spiritual juice for a long time." A trace of reminiscence flashed in its eyes. Lu Xuan's mind quietly focused on him, and suddenly a picture flashed through his mind. As a member of the Kinky Fox Demon Clan, he encountered an accident when he went out. When he was dying, a giant and cultivator from the Xianjian sect appeared and saved him. He was seriously injured and was taken back to the Xianjian sect. The cultivator went around looking for spirit beast masters, exchanged for various healing pills and treasures, and took meticulous care of him, and finally healed him. He tried his best, but still couldn't return to his fellow tribe, so he had to stay in the sect, looking at the direction of Kinkyu Mountain every day, missing him from afar. Then he slowly adapted to his new identity, gradually grew up, fulfilled his own talents, and his sense of belonging to the Xianjian sect became stronger and stronger, and finally became the sect's guardian spirit beast. As the deadline approached, the idea of doing something for the sect became stronger and stronger. Using the information of the Taoist soldiers that appeared after the bloodline awakened, he decided to conduct research and experiments on his own, using the fierce beasts and evil beasts imprisoned in the forbidden area as experimental materials. There was also a strong idea in his mind. Before he died, he would refine his body of a 5th grade spirit beast into the head of a Taoist soldier. In order to repay the previous life-saving grace, he would stay in the sect completely and give his remaining light and heed to the sect. The life of this Kinkyu Fox spirit beast turned into countless pictures, which flashed through Lu Xuan's mind like a horse-drawn show, and finally condensed into a thought. Kinkyu Fox, a 5th grade spirit beast, originated from the Kinkyu Fox Demon Clan, with outstanding talent and powerful strength. The deadline is approaching. Due to long-term contact with fierce beasts and evil beasts, it has been invaded and polluted by a large amount of fierce aura, resentment and yin energy, causing the demonic power in its body to mutate and affect its own vitality. Dedicated to the sect. Chapter 467, Lihuo Jiao Breakthrough, Nanming Lihuo Net. The thought flashed through his mind, and Lu Xuan could not help but be stunned. He did not expect to get such information from the Kinkyu Fox spirit beast. This 5th grade spirit beast actually had the idea of dedicating everything to the sect. Lu Xuan stood in awe, looking at the old fox with a look of surprise and respect. He asked himself, he would never do this. There must be a sense of belonging to the sect, but not much, and he could not give up his life for the sect. If you can't do it yourself, you will admire those who can do it. The embarrassed old fox in front of him suddenly became different. Lu Xuan sighed inwardly and returned to the cloud house. He was thinking about the several spiritual plants in the sect that were about to mature, and there were still a lot of monster scraps in the gluttonous insect sack that needed to be processed. So he told Sun Yun and others to return to the sect through the array hall transmission array. As soon as he opened the Liaguan Fu array and entered the cave, the children who sensed Lu Xuan's breath came out to greet him. The fastest one was Feng Han, whose round belly suddenly stopped in front of Lu Xuan, and the waves of flesh rolled. Your belly seems to be getting bigger again. Tell me the truth. How far have you progressed with that green-haired Feng Han? Feng Han folded its light green wings, lowered its head, and looked shy. Seeing Feng Han's expression, Lu Xuan's heart skipped a beat, and he hurried to its belly. He stared at Feng Han twice, but its belly was already bulging into a ball, and there was nothing abnormal about it. In desperation, Lu Xuan had to take out a spiritual fruit and concentrate on Feng Han. After confirming that it was not pregnant by the green-haired one, he was relieved. I'm telling you, don't get pregnant casually, or I'll kick you out of the cave. Lu Xuan's tone was a bit of a warning. It's just for fun. Feng Han chirped crisply, conveying this thought to Lu Xuan. After it, the cloud-stepping lynx appeared silently on a spiritual tree in front of Lu Xuan like a black lightning. It looked past Lu Xuan and looked into the distance, squeezing out a low roar with 7 points of meaning from its throat. Lu Xuan waved his hand, and the cloud-stepping lynx's green eyes pretended to look at it casually, and then fell down expressionlessly, and its thick white cloud-like feet stepped silently on the rocks. Lu Xuan pulled the 2 tufts of grey hair on the tip of its ears, and under his manipulation, the 2 tufts of hair bent down and formed a heart shape. Lu Xuan laughed loudly, and his mood became much happier. The cloud-stepping lynx didn't understand why, and returned to the dense jungle with a heart-shaped pattern on its head. Afterwards, the fire-leaving flood dragon flew out of the small lake like an arrow from a string, and flew in front of Lu Xuan. After living in the cave for such a long time, this third-grade dragon has grown to 45 meters, and its body is covered with dark red dragon scales, which makes it look extraordinary. Behind its tail, a rock turtle covered in black mud was hanging, and it flew to Lu Xuan together. After all, they were all hatched by the wind falcon, so they have a brotherhood. In the cracks of the rocks in the distance, the 2-headed armadillo looked over here, and when it saw Lu Xuan's eyes moving over, it immediately went into the mountain, as if it was still brooding over the wuling soil that Lu Xuan had collected before. The demon vine went up along his trouser legs, trying to get into his robe. The poisonous heart-eating insect came to Lu Xuan's feet at some point and wanted to get close to Lu Xuan, but knew that it was full of poison, so it circled around his feet. After a few circles, a circle of poisonous smoke formed beside Lu Xuan, rising up and forming a circle. Lu Xuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and stepped out of the poisonous smoke circle. Just as he was about to feed the poisonous heartworm a portion of mixed poisonous blood from the Forbidden Land, he suddenly felt a slight touch on his hand, as if a transparent liquid was flowing on the back of his hand. Lu Xuan focused his spiritual power on the back of his hand, and found that Yaozi was constantly changing its form on his hand, conveying a desire to get close to Lu Xuan. Even the green-horned dragon carp, which could not leave the water, spit out streams of water into the sky to welcome Lu Xuan. You are worthy of being my children. Lu Xuan was very pleased, and felt that he had not raised them in vain. It's good to get close to them, but it would be even better if some light balls could be released by the way. Lu Xuan sighed, and took out a bottle of Emperor Liu Jiang from his storage bag. Come on, I brought you some delicious food this time. He shook the small bottle in his hand, and the milky white spiritual energy inside was like dense light, looming. The Emperor's flowing juice is indeed a sacred product for demon beasts. When the children smelled its aura, they all became excited. Even the cloud-stepping lynx, which had disappeared, quietly appeared beside Lu Xuan. Don't worry, we have everything. Lu Xuan felt that this scene was like returning to his hometown after working away from home for many years. All the children in his hometown gathered around him, looking at the spiritual fruit in his hand with eager eyes. He evenly divided the Emperor's flowing juice in the bottle, and each spirit beast got a portion. As soon as the milky white light came out of the bottle, it had a tendency to dissipate in all directions, making the children eager to absorb it. Each spirit beast occupied a corner, and the aura on its body continued to rise. As more and more Emperor's flowing juice was refined and absorbed, the strength of its physical body continued to increase. There were even beasts with strange phenomena. Lu Xuan's eyes were attracted to the Lihuojiao. I saw that the bulge on the Lihuojiao's head became more and more obvious, and a black and red dragon horn broke through the skin and flesh and slowly drilled out. Ang! A trace of pain flashed in its crystal-fired dragon eyes, and it couldn't help but roared. The spiritual energy in the cave surged and gathered around the Lihuojiao. A layer of red flames silently emerged from its body. The flames were arrogant and burned wantonly on its body. As the dragon roared, the red flames on its body slowly calmed down, and all of them poured into the Lihuojiao's body in an instant, causing its aura to increase several times in an instant. Ang! The dragon roar resounded throughout the cave, causing the cave's spiritual energy to surge endlessly. The third grade Lihuojiao had been raised in the cave for many years, eating countless third grade spiritual fruits and treasures, and living with the fifth grade dragon skeleton grass for a long time. Finally, with the help of the Emperor Liu Jiang, it broke through and became a fourth grade dragon. After the breakthrough, the Lihuojiao was even more majestic. The black and red horns on its head condensed rich spiritual power, and the red scales all over its body seemed to have been tempered by true fire countless times. It was pure and flawless, like pieces of scales overlapping each other, with amazing protective power. It growled at Lu Xuan, its voice full of gratitude, thanking Lu Xuan for raising it carefully, sparing no effort to help it grow, feeding it the precious Emperor's flowing liquid, and helping it break through in one fell swoop. Lu Xuan nodded, his sight completely attracted by the white light ball above its head. He came in front of the light ball and gently touched the surface of the light ball. Suddenly, countless tiny light spots exploded, turning into a river of light that flowed into Lu Xuan's body, and a thought flashed through his mind. The Lihuojiao broke through to the 4th grade demon beast and obtained the 5th grade magic weapon Nanming Lihuonet. Right square bracket. Chapter 468, Roasted Peach. The thought flashed through his mind, and a small silver white ball appeared in Lu Xuan's hand. The ball seemed to be made up of countless tiny silver white filaments, crisscrossing and densely packed. Lu Xuan's mind was focused on the silver white ball, and detailed information about it suddenly appeared in his mind. Nanming Lihuonet, a 5th grade treasure, can be sacrificed and refined into a magic weapon. It is forged with Nanming Lihuo. It can be sent and received by the heart, and can bind and imprison the target, making it suffer the pain of Nanming Lihuo burning. It is even more effective for evil ghosts. Another 5th grade treasure. Lu Xuan was delighted. He looked at the silver white ball in his hand, and couldn't let it go. Spiritual power seeped into it, and the ball instantly stretched out, and turned into a fine net. When the spiritual consciousness passed by, pure white flames suddenly appeared on the silver white net. The flames spread rapidly like countless fire snakes, forming a crisscrossing fire net in an instant. The pure white flames burned quietly, and lasted for a long time. It seemed to contain the power to burn all the evil in the world. More and more 5th grade treasures have been opened from the light ball. With my current wealth, I estimate that even among the 17 true disciples of the sect, I'm one of the best. If any of the giant and uncles have any misfortunes, or have just broken through, their wealth may not be comparable to mine. Lu Xuan sighed secretly. He currently has quite a few 5th grade magic tools and treasures in his hands, including the Void Nightmare Eye, the Pure Yang True Fire Talisman, the Soul Containing Post, the Mirage Sound Bead, and the current Nanming Lihuonet. In addition, there are the Tao Chang Sack, the Shenan Sutra, the Holy Infant Pill, and the Illusionary 5-Element Formation, which are auxiliary exercises, pills, and formation treasures. His wealth is extremely strong. Lu Xuan couldn't help but feel full of security. He experienced the Nanming Lihuonet and put it into the Tao Chang Sack. The Lihuojiao broke through to the 4th grade and simply adapted to the changes in the spiritual power and bloodline in his body, and then took his little brother Yang Jiagi back to the lake. The other spirit beasts also absorbed and refined the Emperor's flowing slurry, and their bodies were improved a lot, but they didn't have the opportunity to break through like the Lihuojiao. Lu Xuan followed behind and came to the small lake. He took out a portion of the Emperor's flowing slurry and gave it to the green, horned dragon carp in the corner. Woo, woo, the water of the lake, my tears. His mind was focused on the green-horned dragon carp, and he could sense its current state of being deeply moved. Moving from the boundless sea to this small lake, its activity space was reduced countless times. It used to be an endless ocean, but now it can only live in a corner. Even in such a small lake, there is a Liho that is stronger than it in both strength and bloodline. The other spirit beast, the rock-shelled turtle, although the two are not much different in strength, but it was hatched by the Feng Falcon, the elder spirit beast of the cave, and is the younger half-brother of the Liho. In addition, it has a lively temperament, and is a little tyrant in the lake, making the green-horned dragon carp live a miserable life. Just now, it could only shrink in the corner and envy it alone, but it didn't expect that it also had a portion. Xuan specifically instructed that neither the Liho nor the rock-armored turtle bothered the green-horned dragon carp that was enjoying the emperor's flowing juice. After feeding the spirit beasts, it patrolled the cave, and the demon ghost vine followed behind like a great snake. When it came to the spirit plant it marked, it would jump out, point at the spirit plant that was growing well, and ask for credit from Xuan. It seemed to be telling Xuan that it had done a great job by resisting eating the branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits of the spirit plants during this period of time. Okay, I'll feed you later, Xuan said perfunctorily, carefully examining the detailed status of each spirit plant. After a period of time in the blessed land of the 10,000 demons cave, many spirit plants needed to be carefully cultivated. He met the needs of each spirit plant very well, and when he came to the remote part of the mountain, he found that the 3 immortal peaches in the corner were fully mature. The pink miasma under the peach tree was becoming more and more dense, and inhaling a little bit of it would make one feel confused and drowsy. The pink peach was looming between the pink and white tender branches and leaves, half hidden, more tempting and shocking than being completely exposed. The skin of the peach was extremely delicate, and it seemed that a slight pinch would spray out a large amount of delicious and sweet juice, which made Xuan, who was not far away, swallow his saliva. Scorched peach, you only know how to seduce people. Xuan spat lightly and looked back at the demon ghost vine, only to see that it looked even worse. Lazily lying on the ground, grey mucus was secreted everywhere, and many small vines like tentacles were differentiated, extending as far as possible in the direction of the peach. Xuan cast a purification spell on himself, and the demon ghost vine under his feet, and the cool breath blew over, instantly calming down a lot. The 3rd grade peach has matured for the 2nd time. I wonder if it has any effect on the light ball. His spiritual consciousness found the peach hidden in the branches and leaves. The 3 peaches produced 27 spiritual fruits for the 2nd time, one more than the 1st time. After confirming that all the peaches were fully mature, Xuan picked one. The peach is a 3rd grade spiritual fruit that bears fruit in 2 years until the plant dies. The spiritual peach contains rich spiritual power and is deeply loved by cultivators and monsters. Long-term consumption also has the effect of keeping the face young. It can also be used to refine yin and yang elixirs, assist in practicing certain dual cultivation secrets, or brew certain special spiritual liquids. Xuan's mind swept over and picked all 27 spiritual fruits. Because they were often not carefully cultivated, the quality of the spiritual peaches was relatively average, mainly ordinary quality, and only 3 were of good quality. After putting away the spiritual peaches, Xuan's eyes were attracted by the white light balls in the branches and leaves of the 3 peach plants. More than 20 white light balls, as if playing hide and seek with Xuan, were deeply hidden in the pink and white branches and leaves. His figure passed by, reached out and gently touched the surface of the light balls, and picked up all the light balls. The light balls exploded one after another, turning into a galaxy of light spots, which poured into Xuan's body one after another. Thoughts flashed through his mind, and rewards appeared in his hands, and in his mind. I got a 3rd grade peach and a 4th grade elixir, the desire pill. A pink pill appeared in Xuan's palm. The pill had many light red spiritual patterns. When the spiritual patterns changed, at first glance, it looked like a beautiful and curvy body twisting gently. The rewards from the peach are also burnt. Xuan couldn't help but hold his forehead. This desire pill has a strong aphrodisiac effect, which can stimulate the desires deep in the hearts of cultivators or monsters. It is an excellent treasure for evil cultivators who practice the way of yin and yang. At the same time, the pill can make every part of the body extremely sensitive, amplify the feeling of pleasure, and enjoy the ultimate pleasure. Those who are restless may sink into the boundless sea of desire. I'm a pure-hearted spiritual plant master. Why do you give me so many desire pills? Xuan looked at the pink desire pill in his hand and felt a little worried. Chapter 469 Miles Yin Pearl. Harvest a 3rd grade enchanting peach and obtain the 4th grade enchanting pill recipe. Or thought flashed through his mind, and a large amount of information about the recipe suddenly flooded into his mind, including how to deal with alchemy, spirit medicine, the order and amount of main and auxiliary medicinal materials when refining the pill, the nature requirements, and control of the pill fire, the timing of taking the pill, etc. He suddenly had a more thorough understanding of refining the enchanting pill. He had previously absorbed 3 enchanting pill recipe experience packages, and with this one, he barely reached the proficient level. Various pills in pill recipe experience package rewards appeared one after another, making Xuan dazzled, and his heart was full of joy of harvest. Harvest a 3rd grade enchanting peach, and obtain the 4th grade Blissard Sutra. A familiar light yellow jade silk appeared in Xuan's hand. It was the Blissard Sutra that could automatically play various dynamic posture patterns and comprehend the way of yin and yang dual cultivation. The previous copy was given to the 6th grade old dragon turtle in the Blessed Land, and now another copy was opened, which made up for the lack of this kind of treasure. Harvest a 3rd grade enchanting peach and obtain the 4th grade treasure Miyinsu. Something new has appeared. Xuan was delighted and immediately became alert, looking at the treasure in his hand. A seemingly empty gem, with a few barely visible pink smoke inside, had a slight trembling feeling when held in his hand. He concentrated his mind on the transparent bead and immediately understood the origin of the gem. The Miyin Pearl, a 4th grade treasure, was made by a giant and evil cultivator of the Xuan sect, who recorded the lewd sounds in tens of thousands of scenes while practicing the yin-yang secret technique, and then refined it. It has a powerful effect of helping love. Once lust arises in the heart, one can hear all kinds of lewd sounds in the Miyin Pearl. The stronger the lust, the more unrestrained the sound, and the two complement each other. What on earth is this Mizan Tao? The light ball has opened up some improper treasures every time. The new 4th grade treasure is from the same source as the Miyudan and the Blissard Sutra, and is also a reward for helping the yin-yang way. What's even more shocking is that the evil cultivator of the Xuan sect actually recorded tens of thousands of real-time scenes of himself. If this was put on a small website in the previous life, he would be a living bodhisattva. Xuan couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He placed the transparent gem in front of him, unable to suppress his curiosity, looked around with a guilty conscience, and then infiltrated a trace of spiritual power into the Miyin Pearl. Ah! A subtle voice full of lust sounded in his ears. I'm so pure and focused on farming, but I also have lust in my heart. It must be the influence of the aphrodisiac miasma under the Mizan Tao. Xuan covered the gem with a guilty conscience, lowered his head and looked down, just in time to see the demon ghost vine climbing on his calf, curiously observing the source of the sound. Don't look at me with this expression. If I give you this bead, I guess you will die of exhaustion. He placed the Miyin Pearl on the top of a grey vine of the demon ghost vine. After a few breaths, the demon ghost vine swelled suddenly, and countless tiny light grey tentacles grew wantonly. Seeing this, Xuan quickly cast a purifying spell and took away the Miyin Pearl. The demon ghost vine slowly calmed down, and the many tentacles that had extended slowly retracted. Then again, this Miyin Pearl and the Blissard Sutra are a perfect match. I'll go to the Blessed Land in a few days to give the old dragon turtle a try and upgrade the product. If the Blissard Sutra was just a pantomime before, it would become an audio drama with the Miyin Pearl. Those who have rich experience in watching movies naturally understand the difference between the two. The light ball rewards appeared one after another, allowing Xuan to achieve a great harvest at once. Among the 27 white light balls, the 4th grade Me Lust pill had the largest number of rewards, with 18. Together with the 21 pills opened in the previous batch, there were a total of 39 Me Lust pills. I have to find a chance to deal with them. Lu Xuan secretly decided that the Xianjian sect and the nearby Jianmen town were righteous after all, so it was not good to openly reveal dozens of me-lust pills. He could only find a chance to take action. In addition, there are 4 experience packs for the recipe of the desire pill. With the 3 from before, Lu Xuan feels that his level of refining the desire pill is between proficient and proficient. If the materials are sufficient, there is a 30% success rate. There are 3 4th grade Mian pearls, 2 of which are opened from the Hard Sutra of Bliss, and the 4th grade magic weapon broken love cone that appeared in the first batch did not appear again. It seems that the second ripening desire pill has little effect on the light group reward. The treasures harvested twice are of similar rank. Lu Xuan compared the treasure rewards opened last time inside. Taking advantage of the freshness of the spiritual peaches, he held a spiritual peach banquet. The participants were all his own spiritual beasts. Each spiritual beast ate and drank, and returned to various places on the mountain intoxicated. The next day, Lu Xuan woke up early in the morning, and came to the spiritual field in the misty white fog. When checking the spiritual plants, he happened to meet a grass puppet with a huge head, walking past him tirelessly. He ordered the grass puppet to stop, and stuffed a spiritual grass bead into its grey-black tumor. Green quickly spread, and in a few breaths, the grass puppet was dyed dark green. Lu Xuan came to the spiritual plant area entrusted by the Dan Palace. The newly planted Tibetan yuan grass had grown a lot, but it looked ordinary and unremarkable on the outside, not much different from the other weeds on the mountain. Only by getting close to it and penetrating the spiritual consciousness into the depths of the plant can you sense its extremely pure spiritual power after continuous concentration. On the branches and leaves of the jade dew fruit, the transparent water droplets formed by the morning dew refracted the light, presenting the scene in front of Lu Xuan in every detail. Each drop of water exuded pure spiritual power and rolled gently between the branches and leaves, but no matter how the angle was tilted or how fast it was, it could not roll down from the branches and leaves. When the sky became brighter and brighter, the morning dew slowly penetrated into the branches and leaves of the jade dew fruit, becoming the pure spiritual energy in the branches and leaves. Lu Xuan's mind moved, and the spiritual energy around him instantly misted, like a thin veil, gently covering the jade dew fruit, allowing it to be absorbed slowly. Arrow spirit fruits of different sizes have grown on the 4 arrow vines. Lu Xuan used the instant arrow technique and arrow spirit power hit the arrow vines one after another, making all the arrows that were hanging down stand up instantly. The spirit power was sharp and powerful, as if it would shoot out at any time and penetrate the opponent's entire body. At the water firefly grass, more than 200 water fireflies have grown extremely lush. The blue slender branches and leaves cover the empty spiritual soil of the spiritual field, connected together and dotted with stars, like the night sky. The spirit power in Lu Xuan's danshan surged, and strands of spirit power fell down. According to the needs of each water firefly grass, it just landed on the blue leaves and quietly penetrated into the plant. I'm tired of the days of slow cultivation. Light ball, come quickly and help me break through. Lu Xuan thought secretly that this was the key to his breakthrough to the late stage of foundation building, and he couldn't be careless. Chapter 470 Audio and Video Synchronization. Swordgrass Area. The 3 4th grade sword grasses have different growth progress. The first planted sword thousand owls have entered the mature stage. There are many sword intentions in the form of owls circling around the plants. The sword peacock has just shown its prowess, and the sword energy is mighty. It changes into various sword formations, and finally returns to the sword grass like peacock feathers. As for the blue lotus sword grass, because the blue lotus sword sutra has just been introduced, it has only grown a small section from the spiritual soil. The sword grass seedlings are full of green, which is a unique flavor. Lu Xuan took a look at the water firefly grass spirit seeds in the 100-year ice soul. Under the nourishment of the extremely cold breath of the ice soul, a small part of the spirit seeds have died and become waste seeds. There are no mutant spirit seeds in the remaining spirit seeds, but they are stained with a few traces of coldness. He is not in a hurry about this. When the spirit firefly grass was mutated and improved into water firefly grass, it stimulated several rounds of spirit seeds before accidentally getting the mutant water firefly grass, which took a lot of time and energy. It is easy to imagine how difficult it is to improve the second grade water firefly grass. While inspecting the spiritual field, he also found that in a corner, the 4th grade mayfly grass had quietly entered the mature stage. Transparent mayflies swam around the plants, constantly switching between life and death. After Lu Xuan inspected all the spiritual plants in the spiritual field, he took Feng Falcon and left the sect and came to Jianmen town, 100 miles away. He put on the strange mask of Ganshan, constantly adjusted his facial features, and transformed into an ordinary looking young monk. Entering the underworld courtyard, many underworld spiritual plants in the courtyard grew well. After adding the 5th grade Yanku wood, the spiritual energy in the courtyard became more cold and creepy, mixed with the wailing of ghosts one after another, and with the other spiritual plants nourished by flesh and blood. It was like walking into purgatory on earth. Lu Xuan had long been accustomed to this environment. He noticed that the Yanku wood had grown a section of pale seedlings, and he was immediately relieved. He poured a large amount of monster scraps he had collected in the forbidden area recently, as well as the mixed essence and blood of the fierce beasts that failed in the experiment, into the courtyard's dark mud meat, so that the many underworld spiritual plants in the small courtyard could eat their fill. After dealing with the affairs related to the spiritual field, Lu Xuan returned to the sect and used the array hall to teleport to the Wanyao cave again. Brother Lu, you are back. As soon as he landed on the cloud, Sun Yun, who sensed the movement, came out to greet him. Yes, brother Sun, how is the blessed land these days? Nothing unusual has happened, right? Lu Xuan slightly adjusted to the slight discomfort caused by long distance transmission and asked the handsome young man. Everything is normal. There were a few monsters that were born to be incompatible and fought, but they were all controlled by us, and there were no casualties. Sun Yun answered truthfully. Thank you for your hard work, senior brother and junior brothers. I'll go to the forbidden area to take a look. Lu Xuan nodded. He had rested for a few days, and he didn't know how many monsters flesh and blood were in the forbidden area. The old fox might be waiting for him to make a judgment. Senior brother Lu went to find that 6th grade spirit beast dragon turtle again. After he left, a cultivator suddenly sighed. A 6th grade spirit beast, even Kangwu Zenran needs to treat it with courtesy, but senior brother Lu has become a close friend with it. I really don't know how he did it. Another person looked at the direction where Lu Xuan left, his eyes full of envy. Not only that, senior brother Lu can enter and exit the forbidden area freely, and he is not afraid of the 5th grade spirit fox at all. Unlike us, we can only serve those 4th grade spirit beasts every day. There was a bit of sourness in the cultivator's tone. Be careful with your words. You should raise and take good care of the spirit beasts. When you grow up to that level, you will naturally have everything. Sun Yun spoke to stop the discussion of several people. Lu Xuan, who had no idea that he was being talked about behind his back, walked to the lake, as if he was familiar with the place. From a distance, he saw the old dragon turtle put away the light yellow jade silk and pretended to lie on the ground to bask in the sun. Lu kid, do you want me to tell your fortune for free again? The old dragon turtle opened his eyes and said lazily. Senior, what do you mean by free fortune telling? It's because I'm worried that you haven't used it for a long time, and I'm afraid you'll lose your hands. Lu Xuan said with a thick face and a smile. The old dragon turtle sneered and smiled without saying anything. By the way senior, how did you use the Heart Sutra of Bliss? It's so. I just glanced at it and never looked at it again. The old dragon turtle said insincerely. It's really not very interesting, but with this thing in my hand, it's different. Lu Xuan took out the million pearl and shook it in front of the old dragon turtle. What is this? I came back to the sect for a few days. When I was out, I got rid of an evil cultivator with ulterior motives. I got this treasure from him. I tried it and found that it complements the Heart Sutra of Bliss and makes up for the shortcomings of the Heart Sutra. Little friend Lu, why don't you let me try it? Hearing about the effect of the million pearl, the old dragon turtle immediately became much more enthusiastic, and the way he addressed it changed naturally. Okay senior, take it. The million pearl flew to the old dragon turtle. The old dragon turtle caught it and, according to Lu Xuan's instructions, injected a trace of spiritual power into the transparent gem. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In an instant, Lu Xuan's ears rang with unbearable sounds. The sound was so loud that it resounded throughout the lake. What the hell is this? It's too noisy. The old dragon turtle, who has lived for thousands of years, has long cultivated a heart that is not surprised by praise or criticism. He calmly set up a soundproof ban to cover the Yin pearl. How strong is the desire in your heart? Lu Xuan stood quietly aside, secretly sighing. The erotic sound emitted by the Yin pearl has a lot to do with the desire in the holder's heart. The stronger the desire, the more erotic the sound. However, the sound is a bit loud, but it is still quite good when combined with the Heart Sutra of Bliss. The old dragon turtle thought about the scene of using the Heart Sutra of Bliss and the Yin pearl at the same time, and his calm heart also felt a little excited. That's right, the sound of the Yin pearl is closely related to desire, and desire is determined by the dynamic posture seen on the jade silk. The high and low rhythms echo each other, and they are very compatible with each other. In the future, I can synchronize the sound and picture when watching movies. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. You kid, you are quite sensible. I will remember this favor. The old dragon turtle smiled, put away the Yin pearl without leaving a trace, and the complex spiritual patterns on the turtle shell began to swim. The treasures given to him twice in a row were very good at first glance, and they just happened to solve his loneliness for thousands of years. The old dragon turtle remembered it in his heart. Lu Xuan chuckled. The Heart Sutra of Bliss and the Yin pearl were both opened from the light ball, which could be regarded as an extra gain. They could be used to exchange for the favor of the sect's 6th grade guardian spirit beast, which might bring him great opportunities in the future. Although he had a certain understanding of the bald monk and the Kinkyu fox spirit beast in the forbidden area, there were a large number of fierce beasts and evil beasts in the forbidden area after all. For safety reasons, it was better to get a free hexagram from the old dragon turtle. After learning that the hexagram was safe, Lu Xuan felt relieved to go to the forbidden area. Chapter 471. Death Cultivation, Gift of Sword Talisman. The time spent in charge of the Blessed Land passed quickly. Lu Xuan didn't need to do anything in the Blessed Land himself. He had a rare chance to practice. He practiced and visualized several techniques obtained from the light ball every day. In his spare time, he would go to sit with the white ape and the dragon turtle. The experiments on the beasts in the Forbidden Land were handled efficiently by him, so he didn't need to go there every day. Every few days, he would go in to collect the scraps of monsters' flesh and blood, the essence of monsters that failed to merge, and the ghosts and resentments that were floating in the dark red channel like lonely ghosts. Occasionally, he would go back to the sect's cave to take a look, take care of the many spiritual plants, and visit the underworld courtyard in the incomplete secret realm to meet the needs of the spiritual plants. During this period, the Blessed Land broke out again. Lu Xuan collected a lot of it and also plundered the old dragon turtle. In this way, 3 months passed quickly. On this day, he returned to the sect. Sitting on the spiritual crane, Lu Xuan keenly noticed that the atmosphere in the inner sect was a little different from usual. Occasionally, he would see a few fellow disciples, but they would leave in a hurry before Lu Xuan could say hello, as if something was chasing him from behind. Lu Xuan was a little puzzled and returned to the cave, cultivating spiritual plants and raising spiritual beasts with peace of mind, just like a diligent spiritual plant master. The next day, he came to the cave, where Xuan was. Junior brother Lu, aren't you in charge of the Blessed Land? How do you have time to come to my place? When Xuan saw Lu Xuan, there was a hint of surprise on his young face. There are a few fellow disciples watching over the Blessed Land. Everything is fine. I came back to check on the spiritual plants in the cave. By the way, senior brother Xuan, I came back and saw many fellow disciples in a hurry. What big thing happened? Lu Xuan asked curiously. There has been a big event in the cultivation world recently. A large secret realm appeared in the Black Demon Abyss. It is full of evil spirits, but also hides many opportunities. It is said that a cultivator has obtained more than 1/5 grade level of skills and instruments from it. After the news spread, countless cultivators went to that secret realm to grab a chance. Lu Xuan heard this and nodded thoughtfully. Why, junior brother Lu, you are not tempted by the 5th grade treasure? Xuan asked with a smile. Senior brother, you are joking. How can I, a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building, not be tempted by the treasure of giant level? Lu Xuan laughed dumbly. This is not wrong. Although he already has a lot of 5th grade treasures in his hands, no one would think that things of this level are too little. I'm thinking of going there to explore. If you're interested, how about going with me? With a true disciple leading me, it's safe. However, I know myself. Although my cultivation is decent, I don't have any protective magic tools or powerful magic. If I follow you, I'll only be a burden to you. So it's better for me to stay in the sect. Well, I respect your idea. It's just that in cultivation, you can't avoid the word competition. Only by striving hard can you get a great opportunity and have the possibility of further progress. Even if you don't want to compete with other cultivators, they will come to compete with you. These are unavoidable. Xuan's young face has a maturity that doesn't match his age. Brother, what you said makes sense, but I've made up my mind. Lu Xuan said with a smile. You guys compete for yours. I have my own track. No one competes with me. He sighed silently in his heart. Since you insist on being a spiritual plant master, I won't force you. Xuan was just saying this casually. He had a high level of cultivation and outstanding talent. As a true disciple of the Xianjian sect, he was covered with treasures, so he naturally didn't mind what Lu Xuan thought. He invited Lu Xuan only because he valued his talent in spiritual plants. Then I wish you a great opportunity and the treasure you want. Lu Xuan smiled and blessed. He said goodbye to Xuan and returned to the cave. After a short rest, he was about to go to the spiritual field to check the spiritual plants, but Bailey Giant King came to him. Brother Lu, have you heard of the new large secret realm in the Black Demon Abyss? He came in with an excited look on his face and couldn't wait to say to Lu Xuan. Yes, I heard that many people died there, including monks from a large sect. Lu Xuan said. After being poured cold water by him, Bailey Giant King calmed down a lot. You can't just see those. There are more cultivators who get the opportunity, and most of them survive. So you plan to go in and take a look? Lu Xuan asked coldly. Yes, it's not easy to get such a great opportunity. If you don't fight for it, you will definitely regret it in the future. Bailey Giant King said solemnly. Even if there is a risk of life and death, are you willing? Bailey Giant King nodded solemnly. As a disciple of a large sect, with the company of fellow disciples, I'm confident that I can get out of it safely. Brother Lu, don't you plan to go to the secret realm to take a look? I don't have that idea. Lu Xuan replied indifferently. It's a pity. Brother Lu, you have the cultivation of the middle stage of foundation building, which is better than me and several fellow disciples I know. I was thinking of taking this opportunity to hug your thigh. Bailey Giant King laughed, and his pair of slender eyes narrowed into a slit. All my skills are dead, accumulated by pills, just to improve the realm and cultivate more spiritual plants. Other magic tools, talismans, etc. are mediocre, not as good as those practitioners who have experienced countless life and death battles. Lu Xuan said casually. Then I will go to explore with a few fellow disciples in a few days. Bailey Giant King said with a smile. Wait, here is a 4th grade sword talisman, which is my protective treasure. I have never been willing to use it. This time I will lend it to you. He called Bailey Giant King, made up an excuse, and threw him his Iohe sword talisman. You can use it directly after activating it. The power is closely related to the sword aura activated. You can only use it in dangerous situations. Remember to return it to me. He met Bailey Giant King before entering the sect. They usually get along well. He is one of the only few friends in Xianjian sect and the one with the lowest cultivation. Lu Xuan was worried about his safety, so he lent him a 4th grade Xiaohe sword talisman. This was the maximum treasure he could offer. If there were more, or if the rank was higher, it would arouse unnecessary suspicion, and there was no guarantee that Bailey Giant King would not have other intentions when seeing the treasure. Thank you, Brother Lu. I will definitely cherish the opportunity to use this sword talisman. If I use it in a hurry, I will definitely compensate you, Brother Lu, at the original price. Bailey Giant King took the sword talisman, felt the surging sword energy inside the sword talisman like the waves, took a deep breath, and said solemnly, The 4th grade sword talisman was a rare treasure for him who was still in the early stage of foundation building. In some cases, it was tantamount to an extra chance to save his life. Go, and come back safely. Lu Xuan waved at him and walked straight into the spiritual field. Chapter 472 Jade Cleansing Spirit Dew. Everyone is running to the secret realm. Unlike me, I can only stay in the cave and maintain my practice by cultivating spiritual plants and raising spiritual beasts. The black demonic abyss is vast, and there are countless evil spirits and monsters lurking in it, as well as rare spiritual minerals, elixirs and other cultivation resources. It is so famous that even Lu Xuan, who rarely goes out, knows it clearly. Coupled with the emergence of a new large-scale secret realm, it means that there will be a lot of opportunities, which will naturally attract countless monks to rush in. The Xianjian sect is not very far from the Black Demon Abyss, and can be reached in a few days' journey, so the monks of the sect are interested. However, Lu Xuan did not forget his original intention and always stayed in the sect, and farmed with peace of mind. As long as the sect doesn't fall, I can plant it until the end of time. Spiritual power surged in his body, and strands of spiritual rain fell down, nourishing the spiritual plants in the spiritual field. After Hao Sheng inspected and cared for the many spiritual plants in the spiritual field, Lu Xuan came to the array hall and used the teleportation array inside to enter the incomplete secret realm. The normal high-grade spiritual plants he possesses are all planted in the incomplete secret realm, so naturally he has to come in and take a look from time to time. The phantom of the phoenix formed by the dark golden cracks in the 6th grade phoenix tree becomes more and more solid, and you can feel the agility while flying and circling. The 5th grade Vajrabodhi, nourished by the power of the Buddhist instrument to subdue the devil, has also entered the growth stage. The seedlings of the plant are like a small, meditating monk. Looking at it makes people calm and peaceful. The dragon bone grass in the Linlin of Yaoquan is the most comfortable. The slender black grass like a dragon swims happily in the spiritual liquid, making you feel happy and reluctant to miss you. The pure colored glazed tea, also of the 5th grade, grows buds under the nourishment of the extremely pure spiritual energy of the secret realm and the nourishment of the Wuling soil. The transparent spiritual light appears on the surface of the buds, as if it can wash away all the dirt in the body and heart. Others, such as Dehuang Zhao and Kaiking Bean, are also growing well. Lu Xuan also specially ran to kicking Dao Lingzi and acted out various emotions such as joy, anger, sorrow, and joy, allowing kicking Dao to absorb them all at once. In addition, the flame fruits, ice rose fruits, and sword raising goods planted in the secret realm have all entered the mature stage. Lu Xuan estimates that he will be able to harvest the light group the next time he comes in. After returning to the sect, he entered the 10,000 Demons Cave Blessed Land without stopping, fulfilled his responsibility to take charge of the Blessed Land, and established a relationship with the old white ape and the old dragon turtle. He would enter the forbidden area every now and then to collect the flesh, blood, and souls of the demonic beasts needed for the spiritual plants in the small courtyard of the underworld. He would also check the status of Kinkyu Fox in its experiments with ferocious beasts, so that it could stop its losses in time. In this way, more than a month passed quickly. When Lu Xuan returned to the sect again, a communication talisman floated outside the cave. With his spiritual power, he pulled her in front of him, and a gentle female voice came from inside. "Senior brother Lu, I haven't seen you for a while. Do you have time to come over and give me some guidance on the spiritual cultivation knowledge of my junior brothers and sisters?" The voice belonged to Liu Su, a well-known spiritual cultivation master in the Xianjian sect and an acquaintance of Lu Xuan. People once explored the blessed land of Langaiyu together. "Okay, senior sister Liu, I can come over tomorrow to share my experience in cultivating spiritual plants with my classmates." Lu Xuan input a spiritual power into the communication talisman, entered the cave, and began a busy and fulfilling farming life. The next day, he arrived at Liu Su Cave Mansion on time. "Senior brother Lu." "Hello, senior brother Lu." Before entering, Liu Su and others were already waiting at the door. When they saw Lu Xuan, they all greeted him warmly. "Hello, fellow seniors," Lu Xuan said, cupping his hands. "Senior brother Lu, please take a seat." After entering the courtyard, Liu Su reached out and motioned for Master Lu Xuan to take a seat. Lu Xuan refused and sat down directly without any pretense. As his talents and skills on the lings he rode became stronger and stronger, he gradually became known to more and more fellow sect members within the sect. Although he is a low-key person and rarely leaves the cave to socialize with others, all the inner disciples of the Xianjian sect know that there is a spiritual planter in their sect who is extremely passionate about cultivating spiritual plants. Plant behind. His talent in spiritual cultivation is extremely terrifying, and he has solved many related problems for the sect. No one else has ever seen this, let alone Liu Su's small circle of spiritual planters. When Lu Xuan was just promoted to an inner disciple, by chance, he entered this small circle of spiritual plant masters and learned many tips on how to cultivate spiritual plants. No one expected that the little junior brother who was a little inexperienced at the beginning could actually grow to such an extent in just over 10 years. This caused their impression of Lu Xuan to change drastically, and they were more or less on friendly terms with Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan answered all the questions seriously and solved many doubts for them. He basically does not need to practice and spends most of his time cultivating spiritual plants, learning related knowledge about spiritual plants, and being able to grasp the real-time status of spiritual plants. This can be regarded as pointing directly to the source of the road. He has a high-level understanding of spiritual plants, often in just a few sentences. The words point out the root cause of the problem, enlightening people and making them understand instantly. After getting together for half a day, Lu Xuan said goodbye amidst everyone's reluctance and returned to the cave. Seeing that it was still early in the morning, he walked slowly in the ditch of the spiritual field and inspected the detailed status of the many spiritual plants in the spiritual field. Hey, one of the jade dew fruits is ripe. During this period, Lu Xuan accidentally discovered that on a jade dew fruit spiritual plant, the progress bar under the one spiritual fruit was completely full. The spirit fruit is as crystal clear as jade, and dewdrops can be seen on the surface, flowing slowly and condensing without dissipating, making the entire spirit fruit seem to have been washed over and over again by the clear spring water, making it look pure and flawless. Jade dew fruit, a third-grade spiritual plant, is cultivated with pure atomized spiritual energy. It contains rich pure spiritual power. It can be used as the main material of a variety of elixirs, and can also be taken directly or brewed into spiritual brew. Ordinary quality spirit fruit is pretty good. Lu Xuan carefully picked off the jade dew fruit and stored it in a special jade box to prevent the spirit fruit from losing its vitality. In the original position of the spiritual fruit, a white light group quietly appeared, flickering slightly among the branches and leaves. A smile appeared on the corner of Lu Xuan's mouth, and he stretched out his hand to gently touch the surface of the light group. The light group quietly shattered and turned into countless light spots, bypassing the branches and leaves of the spiritual plant and converging on Lu Xuan. When entering his body, Lu Xuan felt the slightest coolness seeping into his skin, making the pores all over his body open with great pleasure. A thought flashed through my mind. Harvest a third-grade jade dew fruit and obtain a fourth-grade spirit brewing jade washing spirit dew. A ball of spiritual liquid appeared in Lu Xuan's hand. It was obviously a liquid, but it had the characteristics of jade. It was mellow, pure, flawless, and translucent. When he held it in his hand, he felt a cool feeling on the part he touched. Jade cleansing spiritual dew, a fourth-grade spiritual brew, is brewed with yulu fruit as the main ingredient. After taking it, it can wash away the turbid smell in the monk's body and make the spiritual energy in the body pure and leak-free. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 473 Kingly Jade Lock. A new spirit brew has appeared, and I can finally change the taste. Lu Xuan was delighted. For a long time, the cave had only had the 100 fruit spirit juice for entertaining guests and for personal use. Now the appearance of the jade washing spirit dew has made up for this defect and enriched the types of spirit brews. It would be even better if a recipe was given. Lu Xuan looked at the other jade dew fruits hidden among the branches and leaves, with a bit of hope in his tone. The 10 jade dew fruits were commissioned by the Dan Palace to be planted. Each spirit plant produced 4 or 5 spirit fruits, a total of 46. Based on the experience of producing light balls in the past, Xuan felt that it was very likely that a recipe for jade washing spirit dew would be given. He took a sip, and a cool feeling went down his throat and quickly flowed through his limbs and bones, making his whole body instantly relaxed, and his mind extremely clear. It can wash away the dirty breath in the body, and its effect is similar to that of the lotus seeds of the earth fire heart lotus. It is extremely important for those cultivators who are away from home all year round, and deal with evil spirits and evil cultivators. Xuan sighed secretly. He observed the other spiritual fruits, and found that there were still a few that would mature in a few days, so he was not in a hurry to use King Mu Yuan Qi to ripen them. The day after harvesting a jade dew fruit, while Xuan was cultivating spiritual plants, Bailey Giant King came to visit. "You're back. I'm glad you're okay." Seeing him, Xuan put aside a trace of worry in his heart. Bailey Giant King looked exhausted, as if he had not returned to his cave yet. There was still some excitement in his expression, which showed that he had gained a lot in the secret realm. Senior brother Lu, I said it would be okay, right? Bailey Giant King said with a smile. How did you gain in the secret realm? Did you encounter any danger? Xuan asked curiously. Although he was cautious, he was still somewhat interested in other people's exploration experiences. I joined forces with several fellow disciples to enter the Black Demon Abyss secret realm. Although our cultivation levels were in the upper middle range among all the cultivators who went to the secret realm, we did not dare to enter the center of the secret realm and only moved around in the relatively outer areas. During the period, we encountered many monsters and evil spirits, which were all solved by our joint efforts. The most dangerous situation was an evil spirit with a strength close to the middle stage of foundation building. It took us a lot of means to solve it. One of our junior brothers was seriously injured and needed to recuperate for a while, so we were brought back to the sect for treatment. Of course, the harvest was even greater. We were lucky enough to find a 4th grade spiritual mine, and each of us got a few pieces. In addition, there were some monster and evil spirit materials, which we planned to sell, and then divide equally among us. Bailey Giant King did not hide anything, and spoke to Xuan in a torrent of words. From what you said, it seems that we need to go there again. We have this plan. We discussed it, and decided to take advantage of the opportunity to return to the sect to replenish our supplies, and prepare more magic tools and talismans to deal with evil spirits. When we enter the secret realm again, we will try to go deeper. Just pay more attention to safety. Seeing Bailey Giant King's firm expression, Xuan did not persuade him. The evil spirits that can threaten several inner disciples can be encountered on the outskirts of the secret realm. If we go deeper, the possibility of encountering powerful evil spirits will only be higher. Unfortunately, Bailey Giant King and others were blinded by various opportunities and treasures, and did not think clearly about this. Brother Lu, you didn't use your sword talisman. I will return it to you when I come back this time. Bailey Giant King took out the 4th grade Xiaohei sword talisman that Xuan gave him. Keep it for now. Maybe you will encounter it in the future. Xuan said calmly. It's your protective talisman. It's not right to keep it with me. Although Bailey Giant King was reluctant to part with such a powerful and rare sword talisman, he knew that the sword talisman belonged to Xuan, and was not suitable for him to keep it in his hands for a long time. Anyway, I have no plan to leave the sect to explore the secret realm. If I keep it in your hands, maybe it will be useful in the future. Xuan still had more than 10 4th grade sword talismans in his hand. A new batch of sword raising goods were about to mature, and he would make a lot of money by then. He didn't care much about this sword talisman. But, don't be so shy. I'll give it to you in the future. If you really feel bad, you can give it to me as a reward if you encounter any unknown spirit species one day. Xuan interrupted Bailey Giant King's words directly and said without question. Okay, then I won't be polite to you, Brother Lu. If I encounter any unknown spiritual seeds in the secret realm, I will try my best to get them and bring them to you, Brother Lu. Bailey Giant King was very fond of this Xiaohei sword talisman. Seeing that Lu Xuan insisted on doing so, he didn't hesitate to put it in the storage bag and promised Lu Xuan in a firm tone. Remember, it must be a species that is not common in the sect or the cultivation world. I don't want ordinary ones, Lu Xuan said with a smile. After Bailey Giant King left, he came to the spiritual field and started a new day as a spiritual plant master. After cultivating many spiritual plants, Lu Xuan came to the area where jade dew fruits were planted. His mind was focused on the spiritual fruits, and he found that 2 jade dew fruits were fully mature. He carefully picked the first one and felt it with his spiritual sense. It was still of ordinary quality. Harvest a 3rd grade jade dew fruit and obtain the 4th grade spiritual brewing jade washing spiritual dew. A ball of clear and transparent spiritual liquid, as crystal as jade, appeared in Lu Xuan's hand. Lu Xuan put it into a small white jade bottle, put it together with the one he got before, and continued to reach out to pick the 2nd jade dew fruit. Hey, a good quality spiritual fruit. Lu Xuan glanced at the jade dew fruit in his hand and said to himself in surprise. This made him look forward to the light ball reward after this spiritual fruit. He reached out and gently touched the white light ball that quietly emerged. The light ball exploded silently, and countless tiny light points condensed into a lock-like object and poured into Lu Xuan's body. A thought emerged from his mind. Harvest a 3rd grade jade dew fruit and obtain the 4th grade treasure kingly jade lock. As the thought flashed through his mind, a jade lock appeared in Lu Xuan's hand. The jade lock was slightly larger than his palm, pure white, with many dense spiritual patterns on the surface, mysterious and obscure, and clear light emerged from time to time. Lu Xuan's mind was focused on this jade lock, and he immediately learned detailed information about it. Kingly Jade Lock, a 4th grade treasure, is engraved with many confinement runes, which can change freely. After the spiritual power is activated, it can directly lock the target object within a certain range. For Chinden Zenran and 5th grade monsters, the effect is greatly reduced, and it can only slow down their movements. For evil spirits, the Jade Lock has a very strong restraining effect. Even if it is a disaster level evil spirit equivalent to the Chinden realm, it can be confined for a few breaths. 4th grade treasures can lock the target and restrict the target's actions. It is more effective against evil spirits. Lu Xuan played with the jade lock in his hand, looked around, and the spiritual power penetrated into the jade lock. With a thought, the jade lock turned into a clear light and disappeared. Not far away, the fat bird who was about to sneak out for a date with the green-haired windfalcon suddenly felt a chill on his neck, and then his limbs and the spiritual power in his body seemed to lose control in an instant, and he could only stand there blankly. Chapter 474 Dust Cleansing Pill. The fat bird suddenly lost its freedom of movement and stood there in a daze. It lowered its head and looked at the jade lock that suddenly appeared on its neck and called out to Lu Xuan. You know how to go out and steal wild men all day long. Today I will put you under house arrest to prevent you from going out to date King Mayo every day. Lu Xuan raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, TSK, TSK. The fat bird called out twice in grievance, as if telling Lu Xuan, you don't have a female cultivator yourself, why do you care about me? Lu Xuan couldn't help but be stunned and received 10,000 points of damage. The Yangtze sword sheath on his waist trembled slightly, as if expressing his approval. You have so many flying swords now, and you have opened a harem. Are you getting carried away? Lu Xuan grabbed the ancient sword sheath and stuffed a few nebula swords into the cracks of the sword sheath. One day I will find you some rotten flying swords, or flying swords contaminated by Yin-Ki and demonic energy, to block you hard. He left a harsh word and went back to the house. He was quite satisfied with the effect of the 4th grade magic weapon Kingly Jade Lock. Feng Falcon had been promoted to a 3rd grade demon beast, but it had no reaction to the sneak attack of the Jade Lock, and its movements were completely restrained by the Jade Lock. If it was against an evil spirit, the effect would be even stronger. In a blink of an eye, another 3 days passed, and 6 of the 10 jade dew fruit plants had fully matured. The harvest days are so simple and boring. Lu Xuan sighed and nimbly picked the 6 spiritual fruits, put them in a jade box that could slow down the loss of vitality of the spiritual fruits, and put them into the storage bag. After all of them are ripe, he will go to the Dan Palace to report. 6 white light balls quietly emerged, flickering slightly among the branches and leaves. Lu Xuan smiled and gently touched the surface of the light ball. The light ball shattered silently, turning into countless tiny light spots and sinking into his body. Harvest a 3rd grade jade dew fruit and obtain the 4th grade spiritual wine jade washing spiritual dew. 2 first, to crystal-like spiritual liquids condensed on Lu Xuan's palm. The 3rd light ball, countless light points condensed into a pill phantom, which merged into Lu Xuan's body. Or thought flashed through his mind. Harvest a 3rd grade jade dew fruit and obtain the 4th grade pill dust clearing pill. A clear and bright pill appeared in his hand. The pill contains a clear and spiritual aura. With a light sniff, the turbid aura hidden deep in the body dissipated with the wind. The sea of consciousness was clear and the whole person felt lighter. Lu Xuan's mind was focused on the pill, and suddenly, detailed information about the pill appeared in his mind. Dust clearing pill, a 4th grade pill, is made from a variety of spiritual medicines that can remove evil auras and purify turbid foreign objects. After taking it, it can remove the alien auras that endanger the flesh and can directly remove the polluted auras of the weird and different level evil spirits, which can greatly weaken the harmfulness of the evil auras of the extreme evil spirits. The pills that can remove the evil spirits are of great use to the foundation building cultivators. Especially for those cultivators who have been exploring the secret realm for many years. They have a lot of contact with evil spirits. Even if they are careful, they may be invaded and contaminated by the mysterious and abnormal evil spirits. With this dust cleansing pill, similar situations can be greatly avoided. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. For such treasures, he has the lotus seeds of the earth fire heart lotus, the Yunshan jade scroll, and the jade washing spirit dew just obtained from the jade dew fruit light group, plus the current 4th grade dust cleansing pill, which can be said to be rich in variety. Although he has few opportunities to use it, it is also a good choice to sell it to other cultivators. He put away the dust cleansing pill and continued to open the light group blind box. The remaining 3 white light groups, 2 of which opened 2 more jade washing spirit dew, which increased the storage of this kind of spiritual brew in his storage bag by half. The last white light group. Countless light points poured into Lu Xuan's body, and a thought flashed through his mind. Harvest a 3rd grade jade dew fruit and obtain the 4th grade spiritual brew jade washing spirit dew formula. The thought flashed through his mind, and a huge amount of information appeared out of thin air in Lu Xuan's sea of consciousness. Jade washing spiritual dew is made of jade dew fruit as the main material, supplemented by some other varieties of spiritual fruits and spiritual liquid with special properties. It is not very difficult to make if the materials are sufficient. If a few more spiritual brewing formula experienced packages are opened, I should be more proficient in preparing spiritual brewing, and the spiritual brewing effect will be better. Lu Xuan sighed, looking at the remaining more than 30 jade dew fruits that were about to mature, as if he saw dozens of light balls hanging on the spiritual plants, waiting for him to harvest and touch them. With the joy of harvest, he contacted and inspected the spiritual field, checking the detailed status of all the spiritual plants, and meeting the subtle needs of each spiritual plant. While he was working diligently in the spiritual field, Huo Liner came to his cave. Junior brother Lu, are you taking care of your flowers and plants in the spiritual field again? Huo Liner, who had returned from the Black Demon Abyss, seemed to be in a good mood, and said to Lu Xuan with a smile, I can't help it. I just like these. The spiritual plants in the spiritual field are my entire fortune. I have to rely on them to exchange for some spiritual stones and buy some elixirs to improve my cultivation. Lu Xuan wiped the fine beads of sweat that appeared on his forehead and led Huo Liner into the courtyard. Brother Huo, have you explored the large secret realm in the Black Demon Abyss? He brought a cup of spiritual tea and handed it to Huo Liner. It's still early. We are approaching the center of the secret realm. However, the closer we get to the center, the more mysterious restrictions there are. There are even powerful evil spirits close to giant and cultivators. We plan to come back to rest before going deeper into the center of the secret realm. Aren't you afraid that people from other sects will get there first? It's difficult to break those restrictions in a short period of time, so don't worry about that. But, Brother Lu, are you really unwilling to go to the secret realm with me? With me and other brothers protecting you, you will definitely be able to escape unscathed. Lina gently took a sip of hot tea and asked again. Thank you for your kindness, senior brother, but I like to stay in the sect and take care of these spiritual plants that I have devoted all my efforts to, so I can only say sorry. Lu Xuan declined. Going to the secret realm, risking injury or even life, to obtain some treasure resources with slim chances, while staying in the sect, safely harvesting light balls, and obtaining various rare treasures, he still clearly distinguished the advantages and disadvantages of the two. That's a pity. This time, I only found some good treasures in a relatively deep position in the secret realm. This strange flying sword was obtained from there. Lina shook a bone sword made of the skeleton of an unknown monster in his hand. In addition, there are many 3rd grade and 4th grade spiritual medicines, spiritual mines and other cultivation resources, which can probably be exchanged for tens of thousands of low-grade spiritual stones. Congratulations, senior brother, for obtaining so many opportunities. It's a pity that I don't have such good fortune. I can only stay in the sect honestly and cultivate spiritual plants. A trace of envy flashed in Lu Xuan's eyes. By the way, collect the light balls and get small treasures such as the Jade Cleansing Spirit Dew, the Kingly Jade Lock, and the Cleansing Dust Pill. He added in his heart. Chapter 475. Drastic Change. Regarding Lina's harvest in the Black Demon Abyss, Lu Xuan said he envied him, but in his heart he didn't care. He had worked so hard for so long, fighting evil monsters, and had to face the covetousness of other cultivators, but the treasures he got were not as good as his cultivation of spiritual plants and harvesting light balls. How could he want to explore the secret realm? Lina just passed by Lu Xuan's cave and came to see him. Seeing that he had made up his mind, he didn't force him. After chatting for a few words, he hurried away and prepared to enter the secret realm next time. Lu Xuan had been in the cave for a long time, and he still needed to fulfill his duties as the head of the Blessed Land of the 10,000 Monsters Cave, so he returned to the Blessed Land. He planned to pick the remaining Jade Dew fruits when he came back next time and collect enough light balls at once. Everything in the Blessed Land was normal. Although there were minor frictions and minor problems with many spiritual beasts, they were all properly resolved by Sun Yun and others, and Lu Xuan didn't need to take action. Every day, he practiced several rare skills obtained from the light group. In his spare time, he would visit the old and young white jade sky supporting apes, chat with the old dragon turtle for a while, and go to the forbidden area to recycle the scraps of monster flesh and blood and help the Kinkyu fox check on the situation of its experimental subjects. Half a month later, when he was meditating and practicing in the cloud house, a voice passed through the restrictions he had casually set up and rang in his ears. Junior brother Lu, I'm back. Lu Xuan suddenly jumped up and rushed out of the door at the fastest speed. At a glance, he saw Kangwu Zenran standing in the cloud group, his body like cast iron. Welcome to the return of Master Uncle. He bowed and saluted. The thing I was going to do was relatively smooth, so I came back early. During this period, Master Nephew, you have trouble to take care of the Blessed Land spirit beasts. This is my job, and I also rely on the great help of senior brother Sun Yun and others. Lu Xuan said modestly. Zenran Kangwu showed a hint of appreciation in his eyes. I already know what my nephew did. Kangwu Zenran had already learned about Lu Xuan's every move in the Blessed Land from Sun Yun and others. From their mouths, it can be seen that they have great recognition for Lu Xuan. At the same time, it was also learned that Lu Xuan served the 6th grade spirit beasts, the white jade sky supporting ape and the dragon turtle, comfortably, and the 2 spirit beasts praised Lu Xuan. One descendant was carefully taken care of by Lu Xuan, and the heart ape fruit was entrusted to Lu Xuan to cultivate. As for the dragon turtle, it goes without saying that the Blissard Sutra and the Mian Pearl made the friendship between the two as solid as a rock. What surprised Kangwu Zenran even more was the attitude of the Kinkyu fox in the Forbidden Land towards Lu Xuan. As the person in charge of the Blessed Land, he naturally knew clearly that the Kinkyu fox was experimenting with various fierce beasts and evil beasts. Unexpectedly, such a maverick and unconventional 5th grade spirit beast also favored Lu Xuan. From its mouth, It was learned that Lu Xuan made a lot of efforts in its fierce beast experiment, which greatly accelerated its progress in refining Taoist soldiers. After learning all this, Kangwu Zenran was naturally very satisfied with Lu Xuan. Junior brother Lu, here are 1,000 sword seals and 3 bottles of Emperor Liu Jiang that I collected before, as a reward for your management of the Blessed Land for more than half a year. A large number of sword seals and 3 white jade bottles slowly floated in front of Lu Xuan. Thank you, uncle. Lu Xuan was not polite, and took the sword seals and bottles, and put them into the storage bag. Zenran Kangwu returned to the 10,000 monsters cave. His mission was completed, so Lu Xuan said goodbye to him, and Sun Yun and others, and returned to the cave. Just after he came to the foot of the mountain from the formation hall, he was full of expectations. When he was about to harvest the remaining 30 or so jade dew fruit light balls, a communication talisman outside the protective formation attracted his attention. The spiritual power stimulated the familiar voice of Bailey Jian King from the talisman. Brother Lu, I'm back from the Black Demon Abyss, but I was injured a lot when I encountered the outbreak of evil spirits this time, so I left a talisman outside your cave. If you see it, you can come to my cave. I have a spiritual seed to give to you. The voice revealed a bit of fatigue, without the usual vitality of Bailey Jian King. Lu Xuan's face suddenly became gloomy. He didn't care about the spiritual plants in the spiritual field, and rushed directly to the cave, where Bailey Jian King was. After a while, Brother Lu, you are here. Bailey Jian King saw Lu Xuan, who came after hearing the news, squinted his eyes, and squeezed out a smile on his pale face. It can be seen that his condition is not very good at the moment. There is a deep wound from the chest to the waist, which runs through half of the body. The wound is surrounded by a faint black gas, and a dark green ointment is applied around it. Lie down well, Lu Xuan said in a deep voice. What happened? It's not serious, right? It's not serious, but it's not easy. The evil spirit invaded my body, and I returned to the sect with half my life. I got an ointment from a senior brother, who made pills that can suppress the spread of the evil spirit. It will take some time to recover, but at least I got my life back. Bailey Jian King said with lingering fear. Tell me what happened. Lu Xuan sat on the wooden chair next to him and listened quietly. After entering the Black Demon Abyss secret realm, we planned to go deeper, to fight for better treasures. Unexpectedly, a large number of powerful evil spirits suddenly emerged in the secret realm. We were unlucky to encounter one, whose body was made up of hundreds of heads, and had 8 sharp long claws. The wound on my chest was left by him. That evil spirit had the strength of a late-stage foundation building cultivator. As soon as we met, one of our 5 junior sisters was directly cut off by it. In the end, it was still a few of us who used our best methods to kill the evil spirit and escape from the secret realm by chance, but several of us were seriously injured. This time, it was fortunate that your sword talisman, Brother Lu, was restrained by other fellow disciples, and I found an opportunity to sacrifice the sword talisman, which successfully killed the evil spirit. Speaking of the dead fellow disciples, Bailey Jian King's eyes flashed a gloomy color. It's good that you can survive. As for the sword talisman, don't think too much. Lu Xuan comforted Bailey Jian King. It seems that the evil spirits in your body are very difficult to remove. If you follow your method, it will probably take a long time, which is not conducive to your recuperation. I have a pill here that can remove the evil spirits in your body. Take it quickly. He took out the dust cleansing pill from the storage bag and handed it to Bailey Jian King. There are more than 30 jade dew fruits, so there is no need to worry about not being able to produce dust cleansing pills in the light ball. This is too expensive. Brother Lu, you should keep it for yourself. After the dust cleansing pill appeared, Bailey Jian King felt that the faint black air around the wound had dissipated a little, and naturally understood the precious value of this pill. This is the pill used to heal injuries. If you don't use it now, when will you wait? Let me keep it for my own use. What, are you waiting for me to appear and use a pill? Lu Xuan joked. That's not what I meant. Bailey Jian King said with his lips trembling. Then take it immediately, Lu Xuan said with a firm expression. Bailey Jian King couldn't refuse, so he had to take the dust cleansing pill. Just after swallowing the pill, He suddenly remembered something and said to Lu Xuan excitedly, "Brother Lu, although I almost lost my life this time, I got a strange spirit seed from it. Can you see if you can cultivate it?" End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.